Welcome to the third episode of Blood and Talkness, a Hades speedrunning podcast set in a nightmare world where every god is Dionysus and every boon is common afterparty. I'm Rist, and I'm pretty bad at speedrunning.
I'm Satan is a chill guy, and I can't speedrun without cheats.
I'm I'm Webster.D, and I'm in the profession of clapping Wrist 13's cheeks.
And our special guest today, puts the dick in Medic. It's Medic Casts.
It's Dr.
How's it
Medic
going,
Cast to you. And just so that you know, I'd like to be treated with the utmost respect on this.
Well, it's not in your username, so we don't legally have to include that.
Oh, that's
because,
true, actually. That's true. Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's good to be here.
You know, we'll see about that. And and we have Satan on the at the wheel this time for the gameplay. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's a little Hades gameplay. He's doing the Paradigm sorts route. I think it's the same one we did last.
Yeah, route hasn't changed
Last
at all yet.
episode. Yeah.
Things
so
will look
just-
familiar, just a different driver behind the wheel.
Can this
Yeah.
be classified as gameplay, by the way? Because there's definitely a game. I'm just not sure if it, is this really playing the game to it, it's just not, it's not great. I saw him got hit by a thug a moment ago.
Well, I mean,
I'm pretty sure you're meant to avoid thugs.
Gameplay is value neutral, right? It doesn't
That's
matter.
True. That is true.
It doesn't matter how good or bad it is. It's that's a separate issue.
Yeah,
The
I've
fact
watched
that
enough
it
LCS
is
that I
in-game.
understand that.
Is that ever a line you go for where it's just like this may be game but there no play?
I mean, I'm definitely going to use it now, so thanks for it. It's
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, it has to be like that. There be game but there no play.
I mean, I'll probably say it better than that. I'll be honest, but
No, it's like
for,
in
for,
the same
for a
vein.
fresh caster, yeah,
Yeah, it's like in the same vein of it do be like that sometimes.
True.
yeah.
True. All right. So let's just jump right into some, I guess, Hades news. We can start off, but there's a lot of shit happened. We met up like a week before to sort out what we're going to talk about, and obviously some of it's speculative. But now that we've gotten to the date of recording, which is the 17th of January, 2021, we made some additions. But one of the things we talked about last episode, again speculatively, was GDQ, and that definitely brought. I guess one of the things I wanted to, or rather, I was most interested in seeing was what that would do to the speedrunning traffic. And obviously, Webs and Satan are both speedrun.com verifiers / mods. So, guys, was there or was there not post GDQ activity bump?
It's kind of hard to say because we've been so active this whole time. I'd say there probably was. There was a block of submissions on a single day where it was like 50 subs in one day. So I'm imagining we're getting some sort of GDQ bump, but it's kind of hard to tell because our total submission count rarely drops below 100. So,
True.
it's hard to pin shit down.
I will say it was a bit of like a delayed explosion.
Yeah.
It definitely did not happen immediately, but say like
As it would be.
like a week after GDQ, you could definitely feel that there was more.
I've noticed a lot more people in the Discord as well. Like over
Oh,
the
yeah,
last
absolutely.
week or so, there have definitely been a lot of people coming in saying, "Hey, I'm new. I came from the run," or in Vareem's stream, you see it all the time as well. So,
Mhm.
Yeah,
it's just really cool to have so many new people in, even if sometimes the questions can get a little bit monotonous. And I had a discussion with someone about Hera builds, and it was just like, "Oh yeah, this is the build I go Dio Hera, basically building it like Dio Bayo used to go." And I was like, "Yeah, that's a good build if you enjoy it, like have fun, but this is like the optimal or what we think is optimal right now." And they're like, "Nah, my build's better. It explodes things
Oh.
really well." I was like, "Cool."
No.
But like in the end, it's about having fun. So as long as they're doing that, I
Yeah.
guess that's
no,
the
it's not.
important
It's
thing.
about going fast and
Oh,
nothing
okay, yeah.
else.
Sorry, my mistake.
Don't you ever say otherwise. If someone says, "Hey, I like this build. I think it's really fun," ask them if it's fast, and if the answer is no, then you know.
It's not really fun, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. You're tricking yourself into having fun. Lots of white names in the Discord though, but
That's because
do we know-
the verifiers aren't verifying quickly enough. That's the issue. We can
That's
blame it
also
on
true.
Austin and Webbs.
True, it's because we're lazy fuckos.
Yep.
That was a
Hey.
scuff summon. I think we drop here.
Oh, yuckers.
Yeah, we certainly do.
yeah,
Oh, man.
nice job.
Made it to Asphodel first try though, and I'm rusty. Not too bad.
Not bad, not bad.
Oh yeah, I have noticed if anything. Obviously, I'm not a verifier or anything like that, but
It's
like
gonna stay
the-
that way, pussy boy.
there are there have been definitely a lot of new faces,
Yeah,
which
for
I think
sure.
is pretty fun.
It's cool to see it get more attention. That being said, it's made it so much more difficult to keep up with the new people.
Oh, definitely. Like every day there's a bunch of new people, and I'm starting to get people confused as well, which is bad.
Yeah.
But, like the amount of times someone's told me something, and then I've chatted with them the next day, and they're like, "Oh, I told you that yesterday." I was like, "Oh, it was 3 a.m. and there were 20 people in the voice chat. I'm sorry, it's my mistake."
That's the thing that's been blowing my mind the most. Is sometimes there are randomly a million people in general just yucking it up.
Yeah,
And
dude.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Now you know how that is? That's the nighttime crew. If you don't know the nighttime crew, shout outs to the nighttime crew. They're the best.
who are the regular nighttime crew? Is it like Bright and
It's like Bright,
New
Croven,
High,
New High is always there.
Tunas.
Croven.
Yeah, Tunas.
Nanke.
Ananke is like a
It's-
mixture of sometimes nighttime and sometimes like daytime. Well, the thing is, nighttime is different for us, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
for me, nighttime, I wake up at like 8 a.m. and you guys are the nighttime crew. I'm like, nah, it's just European morning time, right? But I'm happy to be an honorary DGen for a while. So
If you're EU, you're automatically a degenerate, so
Yeah.
we welcome you
True.
with open arms.
so true.
I've tried to join the night crew, but I don't know if I'm old or if I'm tired or if I'm both. Like I don't know about that 4 a.m. time slot though.
It
It's
is
in a-
comfy, I will say. I've been a newer nighttime visitor. It's pretty comfy. Good vibes.
It is
I
very
believe
nice.
I believe it's comfy. It's just hard. But like, or I guess I'm talking more in terms of streaming. I don't know. Like, do we have new streamers? Like, are new people streaming, or is it
Yeah.
just new visitors to the?
There's definitely a lot of newer people I see throwing up their streams and self promotion. I haven't really had the time to pop in and follow everyone new,
Yes.
but there's definitely new people streaming.
Yeah, and I rarely ever interact with the Discord except to at everyone.
Yeah, thanks for that, by the way. That was great.
God, I
Don't tell
hate
me-
Earth 13.
Don't tell me you. Well, like when you got the ping, and you're like, "Oh God, someone added everyone," and then you saw it was me. Everything made sense in the world for just a moment.
Yeah, I mean, but it made sense because we were all unified in our hatred of you. So, like,
True.
Right,
is
right.
that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
Through chaos, I bring order. That's how it
Okay,
goes.
okay.
Wrist is truly the equalizer and balancer of the Hades community.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well,
even if you
speaking
have
of-
beef with someone, you can always agree that you both hate Risk 13.
Yeah.
True. Even I hate Risk 13. Well, speaking of great balancers, GDQ's kind of old news anyway. Let's talk about some newish news. Hermes Cup. I hope. Like, Webbs, did you watch the last Hermes Cup race? Because we raced for the first one
Yeah.
this past Friday. It was you versus me. And then the following race was Museus versus Dunko.
Yeah. I watched it with a
And I
buddy
know
of
you
mine
dipped a
live.
little bit. Okay.
We just had some plans afterwards, but I did catch it live. I was so, oh man, that fucking what was the last aspect they did? Chiron? Or was,
Chiron.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chiron.
Man, it was so close.
Webbs, I think we had a pretty good race. If anything, because we made it to a best of 3, which I honestly didn't expect. But goddamn, if Museus versus Dunko didn't completely take the cake.
Yeah,
in terms of
absolutely.
Oh, it was just so
it was
good.
super good. I will say,
Quick stat point I want to point out very quickly. Risk 13 went 3 for 3 on losing to ME after he abandoned ME in some way, shape, or form.
Wait, what did I where did I abandon Merciful End?
So for the first two
um,
times on Zoo Shield, you had the option to go Merciful End. After it
Right.
had beaten you once, one would think Riss would say, "Yeah, no, I could go Emmy here," opting out of it, abandoning Emmy there, and then again on Talos Fist, Webs goes Emmy, Riss starts Emmy, and then cowards out at the end, and it just didn't work out for him.
Right. Well, okay, so my strategy there, I guess we can preface this all by saying Webbs beat me in the 2 of 3. He won 2, I won 1. My strategy for Talos Fists was to go I think it was Ares on attack and get privileged status somehow, and God's Pride. And if I found Athena in Tartarus, I would go for Merciful End. If I didn't find Athena in Tartarus, I would go for something else.
Mhm.
That did not work out for me, unfortunately. It fell off. But I did not coward out of it.
I mean,
It
you
was-
did.
It
You
was
did
an
coward
open
out of it.
question. It was an open question. I had a full boon pool on my way out, and I was like, yeah.
You know, the
Here we go.
reason it didn't work out is because you didn't believe in it fully.
Exactly.
True.
I guess that's true.
I will
Just
say
because your plan was cowardly doesn't mean that you didn't coward out of it. You just you had already cowarded out before you even started the run.
I will say I did luck out pretty hard. I was gonna go regardless of what happened in Tartarus. I planned on going ME fully, because I did a lot of practice and my average times, even if I didn't get ME, were matching my best times for like a splash dash build.
Hmm.
So, I mean, in the end, like it ended up working out. So I didn't get ME until like Elysium after I had already used both my keepsakes, and I had no rolls, and I happened to luck into an Ares.
Did you have the dash at that point, or
Yeah, I had everything, just not ME.
gotcha? I know the thing that got me the most, like anyone who's been even remotely staring at my stream or even knows what my status is on the stream, I am not doing any practice for Hermes Cup.
Yeah.
And I think it definitely showed for me in our last race, which was Rama, and I fuck Rama, dog.
Well, you know what you can do when you don't like an aspect like that? You have these bans.
Yeah,
And
it's
what
almost
you could have done is remove
Okay,
it from the
okay,
pool.
so-
I'm just saying.
So on that note, I did not know which weapons would be worse for me. I honestly didn't. I had no clue what would have been better or worse. So I did. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. I could have banned Rama. However, I did not know my Rama would be that bad.
Okay.
I'm honestly very surprised you didn't ban Talos. That was shocking.
I wanted to play Talos. I wanted at least like one good aspect, right?
Yeah,
I
but
guess
didn't Webb
that's
set Talos or like break Talos record by like a lot the
I
day
did.
before?
I did.
If you think my intention was to win as hard as possible, you are mistaken.
This is an entertainer, okay? He's not here to win all
No,
the
no,
time.
no,
He just
no,
wants
no,
to
no.
have fun.
If he was an entertainer, we would have played Lucifer, but we did not.
No
And
one
I
wants
just
to
wanna
see
say-
boring Lucifer rail build, which is also sorry. Go on, Saden.
So it's so funny to me that Risk cowarded out of Super Soaker versus non-Soaker when the next race we get to see
Mhm.
it and Soaker prevails. Like, Jesus, Risk, you really are a bit of a coward.
Okay, listen. I can just as an entertainer, I knew ahead of time that Musaeus was going to do that very thing. What sort of person would I be if I stole that thunder from him?
No, but you would have lost with it, and then Musaeus won with it. So you have like the redemption arc.
I will say,
Oh,
Musaeus
God.
did message me beforehand too, and he's like, "Hey, should I do this?" And I was like, "Fuck yes, dude, please." I messaged him.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay, I was gonna say I messaged him after the race too, and I was like, "You may not have won, but you certainly left that man soaked," in all caps.
I don't think Musaeus needs. Someone actually criticized us for not bringing up Musaeus in our Hades protagonist discussion, or in our Hades I guess anime character archetypes discussion. They just say that you don't have to you don't have to lose to Musaeus to be completely devastated by him.
He's a way
I
of
feel like
crushing your
that's
soul
clear.
without winning.
Yeah. Musaeus reminds me of in Boku no Hero. There's the guy with the really fast legs. He's like he's the leader of the class. And I can't remember his name. Starts with a T. Reminds me a lot of that guy.
I don't watch trash anime,
Yeah,
so
so-
I mean, you watched Katana Gatari, so let's not even
Hey,
go
no
there, mate.
spoilers.
Holy shit.
we don't want to lose our viewers right away. Okay, we can't mention anime,
True.
the anime we're talking about, until after all the Hades stuff.
Alright, so I want to flame you a bit. For one, brought up a dog shit anime. For two, called it Boku no Hero. Not called Boku no Hero. It's My Hero Academia.
Oh my god.
Fucking wiener.
What?
It's
You're mad at
literally-
me for using the original name instead of the
It's-
English translation.
It's literally not even called that in Japan. It's called My Hero Academia.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
Why does it have? Wait, why does it have that name then?
That's a good question. I have no idea. Anyways, I'm just
Well,
fucking
that's a
with
mystery
you.
for another time.
I'm just fucking with you, but don't make that a mistake again, you fucking...
Don't you dare make that up. But yeah, I guess he's like that character.
Yeah,
What is
exactly.
that character like then? Like,
Yeah,
Right, he's
since
like
we
he's
don't
like he's
know,
like he's
describe it.
he's kind of like in charge of the class, very silent, but also like he can fuck you up, and he will fuck you up from time to time. Like, and Musaeus has
Oh.
this like aura around him where like I don't know him as well as you guys know him. I haven't been around for as long as you guys have, but like if you fuck with Musaeus on a run or in a race, like he'll just flex all the hell over you. But he's also like he'll be the kindest and like calmest guy the rest of the time. He just sits there chilling out in his shirt and looks like very dapper on stream for no apparent reason. I really don't understand why people dress up for their streams, but it's like it comes down to the thing that you have in your chat wrist in your Twitch chat, which is like he's the biggest fucking flex lord, while at the same time seeming to be the kindest guy in the Discord.
It's because he's both. It's such a mystery to me. How
He's
you
an
can
enigma.
fulfill... Yeah, you can fulfill two vital roles at the same time.
Yeah.
He is multiple characters at once. Like, I think it'd be easy to call Musaeus like the strong silent type, or like he's a man of few words, perhaps.
Yeah.
I
Stoic.
think it's sort of the inverse though. Like it's more so he is a man of actions. Like he doesn't need to talk shit, but he'll just do things
Yeah.
that completely devastate you. And he doesn't need to say a word. Like he doesn't need to say anything. He just does. Like he'll take for those who don't know, in the Hermes Cup, that spoilers, Musaeus beat Dunko in a Lucifer Rail race where he went Super Soaker. Dunko didn't go Super Soaker. Musaeus won somewhat handily, and to top it all off, he did also have Slicing Shot, which I think is just the icing on the cake for him because he loves Slicing Shot.
Can I just say my heart's currently pounding?
You know,
What's
PvP
world
You
record?
are-
I'm not
On
on
a
PB
pace.
pace, but we haven't dropped the route yet, which is insane.
What?
What's the PB again? Is
432
432
with a
Is this
311
is it-
heroes exit. It might
is
be
it
because
possible to
PB didn't
PB?
have manipulated sticks, so we'll see.
Well,
Here we go.
You know what? This is the perfect time
Yeah.
for
I
Medic
think
to
we-
cast it.
Well, I
Medic,
need a
give it to
co-caster
us.
as well. Rist, you gonna join me? You do the color, I'll do the hype.
What?
So there's two types of casters: play-by-play and color casters. Right? Play-by-play does like the exact what's happening in the moment, and the color caster gives like the analysis. Okay, so that's the goal. I'll do the hype, and you do the analysis. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right, here we are. So taking the first tunnel. Looking for Aphrodite down here. Misses the special, but gets a couple of dash strikes in. He has strucken his enemies or smitten them, as you would say. Wrist. Pause comes out, and there are two more satyrs. One gets caught in the trap. Second one, 791 damage. That's a huge amount, Wrist.
Yeah, his build is really coming online. He has a lot of chaos boons. He has Heart Rend. He has
May drop.
everything going for him. And apparently, we're just getting it in now that he has dropped the route.
May drop.
So
May
it has
may
dropped.
have dropped.
Okay,
may have
right.
dropped. It
Might
does,
have dropped.
Yeah, it does have the sweet surrender. It's going to go back into the river Styx and look for the second tunnel. Demeter is the choice. Mini boss, the target here for him. Of course, Demeter doesn't give you too much with this build, but look at the crits. They're juicy. Juicier than a well-cooked filet mignon. 1,709 as he goes into the next door.
I love me
Yeah,
some
no, we
Philip
dropped.
Mignons, and
Fucking-
unfortunately, it has dropped. This method of play is super precise, and Satan just doesn't seem to have the skills necessary to keep it up for the entirety of the session.
I mean, it's understandable. He's still doing manips before the doors, even though he has dropped, which means this run cannot be verified anymore, I'm afraid. So even if he does PB here with the 2-sack,
Oh, he still finds the 2-sack though. Very lucky.
Oh.
This is unprecedented luck.
yeah, he did have the option of Crystal Meme Beam there, and I really think as soon as you've dropped the root, you might as well be going for that Meme Beam. As Satan obviously not playing up for his fans, he is do or die. He's vanquished Cerberus, sent him into the paddling pool, and now goes on to the final fight.
If enemies don't suck here, slight chance of PB. It's very unlikely.
I'm hearing from the
Oh.
touchlines that if the enemies do not suck here, there is a slight chance of PB. Any thoughts on that, Wrist?
Yeah. One of the key boons for clearing Hades quickly is Hunter's Mark, and this can be procced sort of back and forth between the mobs which spawn in, and depending on how good or bad they are, like the spawn density, it can shave off easily like 1 or 2 seconds from the time. He didn't get great ones, it looks like. He got Dracons.
Oh.
Not really bad. He's looking for numbskulls though, because there are many of them, which means a lot of Hunter's Marks, which means a lot of crits.
And with the darkness there, you have to think that this cannot be a PB. In fact, we've just gone past PB
We
pace.
have cleared it.
And it's a shame, you know, Satan is a chill guy. It's pretty good at this routed running, but obviously hasn't mastered it yet. It's going to pop the darkness just to clear out Dad. And in the end,
Not bad.
a 442 is okay. We take those.
Yeah,
And hey-
just 10 seconds off.
Finished a run live on Blood and Darkness.
For the YouTubers, not for the filthy Spotifyers. They're like, what the fuck are these guys talking about?
Can we talk about Philip Mignon real quick?
Philip Mignon?
God damn.
You have a problem with that
I
pronunciation?
absolutely do. I hate you. That was good.
That's a
Fair
good
enough.
one.
That's how this build works. If you're on YouTube and wondering why we do damage, here you go. This answers it.
There we go. Lots of purple chaos boons. Well, speaking of, this is a nice segue into, I guess the world records that we've seen. We've actually seen a couple, I guess, big world records get updated in the last week.
I can't remember any. I'll be honest. I don't think. No, there was the
Oh,
All Webs
really?
one, and I don't think any other records have been broken recently.
You
No,
know,
there definitely
yeah,
was,
I remember
think.
one specifically.
Oh, you're talking about the
think
RTA world record? Yeah, I remember that one.
Actually,
No,
I
well,
think
see-
there's
There
a
was a
record that-
specifically. Now that
I
both
think
of you
just
mention it,
completely made obsolete like one of the previous world records. I think that was the in-game time any heat
Mhm.
held by me Dick Case.
Yeah, that's my twin brother. held the
Okay.
record for a
Younger,
while,
I
yeah.
assume.
Oh
a few
yeah, obviously
seconds.
younger, more handsome.
Oh, more handsome.
Yeah, it's difficult, but it's
Not
possible.
less handsome.
No, more handsome.
Okay, well, giving your brother some credit at least.
Yeah. I know, yeah. So Lily setting the IGT and the RTA world records in one run. Like, firstly, anything sub 6 is crazy impressive, and secondly,
What is it like
557.
557.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the fact that he
Yeah.
did RTA at the same time, didn't get a Than, didn't have a survival room, and just fucking smoked me. Like, it's so impressive. No one's even touched like 610 yet, and he's down there at 557. So happy for the guy.
Mhm.
yeah, he had like a 1308 RTA as well.
Yeah.
which is like ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that I mentioned like this stuff to Lily, and I'm like, oh, Lily. I think it was during one of my coaching sessions. Like, hey, Lily's here. You know, if Lily has anything to say about Eris, you know, we'll listen to him. He's like, no, I'm definitely not the best. Like, I think Medic is still better than me. I'm like,
No, he's so
He
Oh,
said
it's
he said he failed me because he missed like a single meg in his double
I
record
know,
run.
right? You missed the Meg on Asterios Theseus because he turns slightly too early. Like, I watched the run and I tried to analyze it. I can identify 3 major mistakes and like 3 minor mistakes. And by major, I mean like that Meg sort of level. There's a couple where he misses all 5 rockets on the butterfly ball as well because he doesn't dash properly into it. But it's actually crazy how good he is. And he's writing a guide, I think, at the moment. So that should come out soon.
he's already
which
written a guide. I
Is it officially out?
So I don't know if it is. I do know that he came into my stream saying, or someone came into my stream. I think it was him mentioning that, everyone in the Discord is very nice and helpful, and then in parentheses, except wrists, LOL, all caps.
Yep, fuck this. Lol.
Exactly, something like that is happening. I can't really confirm whether it's out or not. I think it is. I
Okay.
feel like it is.
Well, if it is, check the comments down below for a link.
So yeah, we have
If
let's
you
see,
guys
Satan. Satan has the seeded any heat record. Webs, you have the all weapons. How much did you gain the all weapons by?
I think it was almost 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was like a
Damn.
minute
That
and
is
a lot of
impressive.
change.
That is super impressive.
I think it did beat my last patch PB too, which was surprising. What's even
That's
funnier?
actually crazy.
What's even funnier? It was sub 140 pace up until weapon 5, and then I got super dicked on the last 2.
Are
I
you
mean,
gonna
that being
push for
said-
sub 140?
Yeah, that's the goal right now.
What blows my mind, and it kind of runs paradox to, or paradox. It kind of runs counter to I guess conventional wisdom about like world records and stuff like that, where we kind of understand that a lot of it is luck and room luck and all that shit. Obviously skill is a big part of it, but at a certain point you're kind of grinding for like the best room luck.
Yeah, essentially.
But if that's the case, like on the large, our speed is going down, or our speed is going up, I guess. Our times are going down at a pretty steady pace, which kind of suggests the opposite, that we're getting better.
Yeah,
right?
no, that just happens.
Like that tracks, right?
Yeah, that just happens with time.
Yeah, so but it's not just a matter of luck. It seems as though if we've spent all this time like grinding these categories, it would be as likely that we would make the jump from like a 150 to like a 142 or 145 with equal likelihood. But it seems to be going down fairly steadily.
I think it's the combination of like Hades speedrunning is still relatively new when you look at it in the grand scheme of things. Like you look at some of the other more optimized games and people have 20, 30,000 runs in them before you're breaking a record, right? And also builds are still being optimized to a degree, especially with the new patch. Like there are small things that people are changing that is adding to speed or adding to reducing the times, right? And then alongside that, the more you run, the better you get, right? Especially for someone like me who isn't pushing world record in like an all weps. I find I've run like probably 20 Nem sword runs in my life, and now I am a good 5 minutes quicker on average on my all weps than I used to be. And that's not purely Nem sword. That's because I'm running like all the other weapons at the same time, and the decision making is quicker, and sometimes room luck comes into it. But I really don't think we're at the point yet with RTA runs or like the multi-wep runs where room luck is the be all and end all of whether you can set a world record.
I would say it's starting to get like that.
Okay.
Personally, it's mostly Sack RNG, Barge, and Than at this point. Free room luck isn't as apparent.
Okay.
But though it does help, right? As I'm sure you would imagine.
Yeah.
But it's
I guess what I just want to highlight is that even though we do obviously notice and even highly value like room luck, that like the slipperier, less obvious point of improvement is also kind of skill, and that I think is exemplified a bit in at least the trajectory of how the records go.
Yeah. Because it's these incremental decreases rather than like a big jump.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think we undervalue boon luck in like records and such? Because like I find a good run with like purple boons is so much better than a bad run with a couple of free rooms for me.
I will say I think it matters less in RTA.
Okay.
I think it matters.
I think we overvalue it, if anything. Obviously, having like Epic Jolted is better than like Common Jolted, or having Mirage Shot in Tartarus is better than Mirage Shot in Asphodel. But more often than not, the the determining factor feels like it's spawn luck,
Yeah.
room luck.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Um,
where the consistency comes in, or the skill comes in, is working with
Mhm.
what you get. And I
And
think
getting
Yeah.
better at working with commons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're just getting better at working like around what the game gives us. You know what I mean? And I think that's why
Mhm.
you see these incremental like time drops, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Does.
It's just such a hard thing to capture though. Right? Like how do you articulate that? Like it's easy to articulate that someone gets a fan or like a sack or got all 2 sacks and no fans or something like that. But it's harder to and this is one of the things that I think makes talking about Hades, like be it just casually like here or from like a commentary perspective, a little tricky because it's hard to like it's easy to highlight the good rooms and the bad rooms, but like how do you highlight the little subtleties
Mm.
of like a good player versus a great player?
Well, I think you could see it like in the way they play. You know what's super cool about this game is
Hmm?
I can tell who's playing just by watching the gameplay. And
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
you can see that skill level and like just through the gameplay. You know what I mean?
Do you mean by so do you mean you can tell which specific player is playing or what level of skill they're at?
A bit of both, because
Okay.
like I could definitely tell when it's Dunker Vor playing, and say for
Mhm.
like any Heat, I could definitely tell when it's like Brighter Tuna's playing. You know what I mean?
The I think the relay race actually really highlighted that, the Dunk versus 4, just in the way that they played Nemesis differently as well.
Oh yeah, watching that back to back, I would have liked to like when I was sort of vibing over it with Museus, I would have liked to highlight it a little bit more, but that's totally true.
I think coming back to the like the record setting and how skill is becoming a more determining factor. Like the difference between Hades and other speedrun games, at least watching it, is when you look at other speedrun records, you can tell exactly where they're saving the time and how they're saving the time, right? And you can do that to a degree in Hades if you know the game well. But like in say Super Mario Bros 3 or whatever, right? Like I'm just picking a random game. You watch someone dissecting, they're like, oh, they saved 4 subpixels here and they saved a frame rule
Right.
here, and like, but you
Yeah.
can't really do that to the same degree with Hades. You can see how effectively he's using his dash strikes, but because it's not always the same fight and because it's not always like the
Yeah.
same enemies, you can't have that level of specificity around how people are saving the time. It has to just be he is using the mechanics of the game really well in this moment.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, that's what I really like
That's
about
true.
Hades, like as a
Same.
speed game. It's just you're just playing the game fast. You know.
Yeah.
I think that's
The lack of like glitches and skips is what attracted me to this game. Like if Codex Tech or anything had been in the game, I just wouldn't be running it.
I'm glad that shit's not in the game. You mentioned relay races. Actually, I think one's happening like
Yeah.
As
right
we speak,
now.
yeah, I think they're
as we
live.
at the time of recording, it's 5:55 p.m. Eastern time for us right now. I think in 5 minutes it's supposed
Yeah.
to start. What's his name again? It's Pats, right?
Yeah,
Pits.
It's
or
the-
Pits.
Pits,
yeah.
right. Pits is organizing and sort of hosting and streaming our first community relay race, all weapons, which is exactly what it sounds like. There are 12 players, 6 to a team, all racing sequentially / concurrently, and it's like I got to watch some of the production come together. I think everyone who was there obviously got to, and it's wild.
Yeah,
There's-
dude.
It's
Speaking
high
of the
tier, man.
production, yeah, like the quality is so good.
Yeah. I was really
obviously
impressed by it.
the run that we did yesterday. There were 2 runs for this weekend. One yesterday on Saturday and one today on Sunday. The last one obviously had some scuffed moments, but that's like kind of what these streams are going for anyway, is to work out those hitches.
And, like I think the thing with scuff moments is how you deal with them, right? Just like in my experience, you're always going to have something like that, and
Mhm.
being able to adapt to it and being able to work things out on the fly is really good. I think a good example of struggling a little bit is Jerd's when you didn't ban something and he just he just floundered for like 30 seconds. It's like It's fine. Like you just have to be ready to adapt in the moment in those sorts of things. I think Pitts seems to do that really well. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad for Jerds because I didn't expect it to. I mean, I didn't tell him ahead of time. I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a crazy plot twist. You know, I don't need to ban shit or whatever. Like big strong gamer, but yeah, everyone hates Risk. That blah blah blah.
In reality, George was just like, "Fuck this dude. He's making my life so difficult."
He gave me every opportunity to take it back. And I was like, nah, dog.
I think like Jerds does so much good stuff for this community that
Oh, for
you
sure.
forgive him a couple of mistakes here and there, or a couple of fluff moments, right?
I
And
would-
in the end, like Twitch chat got to vote on our last weapon,
Yeah.
so I think that was pretty fun.
I think you should have that for
Fun
all
for
finals in the
you.
future. You get one random aspect that's voted for by Twitch chat, and you only find out about it at the end of your runs.
I think I'm good.
I think it's Arthur. Do you like Arthur? I'm a big fan of Arthur, mate.
Dude, fucking Halion almost unbanned Arthur, and I damn near shat myself.
Twitch chat slavering at the mouth for like Zeus Shield or whatever.
Oh my god, dude.
You'd have Zag Rail, but no spread fire on the first hammer.
Zag Rail. Speaking of Zag Rails, our final, I guess, news bit. We have a couple new categories actually, but on the subject of Zag Rail, we have OWO.
Ooh, what's this? A new category?
Yeah, OWO, which
Ooh.
stands for one weapon only, right?
Yeah,
That's
you got
what
it.
stands for.
Can I just take a
Pace.
moment to appreciate this is PB Pace?
Yes,
Right?
this would be the
Yeah.
case.
So,
Oh,
for
nice
those of you
sir.
listening at home, Satan is out of Elysium with 3 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock. So
Some could say
exciting, dog.
schmoving.
Yeah.
imagine if this, like, we have to submit this as the new world record, as the sub 430 that Satan's after.
Alright, dude, you know what it is? Free clout. So, Austin, no pressure.
Yeah.
We need this.
Twitch.tv/mediccasts, everyone.
Hasplay
You can also find me
zone.
on YouTube and Twitter.
Alright, thanks, Medic, for
That's
being on.
played
We'll
on.
see you later.
Oh god.
Yeah, but
and fun, yeah.
OWO I think is super interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing people run not bow, because at the moment everyone is just running bow. I think I've seen a couple of rails, but
Hey, I got some
yeah.
news for you. I did fist yesterday.
Oh, did you?
all at me?
It
Almost
was
won.
it was all in me.
Was it good?
How was it?
It was okay. It was my first finished run was a 117, so it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
That's probably all right. I don't know what is. I mean, obviously we have a general hope for a 15-minute per run, but
Yeah, okay, that's not
Yeah.
happening on
I
fist.
think currently anything low 110s is like really good,
Offer up.
and anything like
Oh,
medium 110s is like good.
That was
Yeah.
Mighty Dermot as well.
Sage.
I already know what happened too. A piece of rubble hit a pod as the doors open, incrementing me over by 1. I fell off the route.
nice job.
God, this
Pain.
game sucks.
Yeah.
What a terrible game. Amir, fix please. Like what? I imagine that spear is going to be the hardest OWO weapon to run, right?
Funny enough, probably not. You could just
Really?
Yeah, I think you could just toss on splash dash and arty attack.
Yeah, probably.
So I'll be honest, I don't know what the other two aspects of spear are. There's Achilles, and then
Wait,
the
which
Zag, and there's
ones
two
are
other
you aware
ones.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hades and Guan Yu.
Oh, Guan Yu is awful. Yeah, okay, I do know that. And then I don't know what Hades does. Is that the special damage thing?
No, that's
yeah,
the
you charge up your sort of. You charge up your spin attack, and it marks enemies, and anything that's marked takes extra attack and special damage.
Okay. And that's the one that you guys ran for Hermes Cup.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an awful weapon.
It's kind of fun. I like it.
It ain't bad. It's spear.
Yeah.
Your mileage may vary,
True.
but yeah, free world records just up for grabs, as well as I think it's is it Charon percent or loyalty card percent?
It's
Loyalty card.
Okay.
That one not
And,
so free.
Yeah, also
Shout outs to
don't run
Lily
that.
again.
It's super painful.
What's the world record? Like 2 minutes and 49 seconds or
No,
something?
it's like 150 something by Lily.
What?
Yeah, he
Yep.
ran it for like an afternoon. Him and Ananka,
you-
like, are just two runners I really don't understand because they just seem to be able to take, like, obviously they put in a lot of work, but Ananka is specifically like he's run 2 Hera speed runs in his life and he's already sub 7 on the weapon. Like, what? These guys, they're just so good at the game. I like you all are obviously, but they're the two I follow most closely because they do IGT. So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair.
I've maintained and will reiterate that speedrunners are crazy people, and if you're a speedrunner, congratulations, you're a crazy person.
Yeah.
True.
lockdowns
100%
probably increased the amount of them around as well because there's just nothing else to do. It's like, oh, I should play this game again. This time I'll do it quickly.
Oh, dude, maybe that's when like submissions will slow down when COVID's
Yeah.
over.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Although I
People
don't
will just be
fully
addicted.
know.
Yeah. I'll be honest, like I'm getting to the point now where I have nerves going outside sometimes, right? Like even like going to the shops and such, it feels weird to be
Yeah.
outside near people. I like Germany lockdown is a little bit less strict than other places. And I went to see some friends the other day and it just felt strange to be sitting in their house and chatting with them. Like super
Yeah.
odd.
Oh wait, you live in Germany?
Yeah, I live in Berlin. It's where the LEC is based.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I don't know shit about like League.
No,
but-
no, no. Most people don't know. Everyone assumes I live in the UK. So
Okay, for sure.
I assumed that until he mentioned something about living in Germany. So
Yeah. I got a buddy of mine lives in Germany. One of my mods.
oh, cool.
I don't know what part, but it's peeny.
It's cool.
Speaking of League and shit, let's not talk about League. Medic, how big that dick, brother man?
I can show you after the show if you want, man. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not
sweet.
sure I want to see. The problem is if I put it out in public, I'm gonna get more DMs.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
okay.
So
fair.
yeah,
Well, see, I'm
Right.
noticing on the docket it says honest truth, no lying. So I'm gonna need you to answer. We can just have Bobo blurt it out.
oh,
Do you-
okay, good.
do you
good.
measure in centimeters or inches?
I measure in comparison most
Or
of the
feet.
time.
and
Okay.
measure in dick length in feet.
I mean, I've spent enough time around penises as a doctor to know that I'm okay.
You could have just full stopped at penises, and that would have been
Yeah.
fine too.
True.
He
I
has
mean,
to
I do
clarify
live in
that as a
Berlin.
doctor.
It's, yeah.
He has a professional interest in penises.
I mean, I have a casual interest in penises as well.
and professional.
That's how you know you love your work.
Yeah.
But he loved it so
Oh,
much he quit it to become a League of Legends
Yeah.
shoutcaster / Hades speedrunner.
I'll be honest, it is one of those things where the more time you spend around it, the less enticing the whole area becomes generally.
Okay, are we?
I'd imagine so.
Are we still talking about dicks, League,
Oh,
or the
I
doctor
did
stuff?
I did urology.
Column A,
like,
column B, column
Yeah.
column C.
I did urology, so it was like penises and just general genitalia and kidneys and bladders and such.
Wait, that was legitimately your area of focus?
So in the UK, for your first year, you do first couple of years you do rotations. So I did 4 months in urology, 4 months in general surgery, which is like livers and gallbladders and such, and intestines, and then 4 months in respiratory medicine.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
interesting. See, I don't know shit about League or doctor stuff. So
I don't know much about League or doctor stuff these days. The thing is, people assume I know a lot, but I know enough to sound like I know a lot. I've lost all of like the important knowledge that would actually cure people. I just have the generalized knowledge of like Latin and words.
mhm.
Right. That sounds like I when I went to school I double majored in professional writing and philosophy, and like, oh, you know a lot about philosophy. It's like, well, it was really, really general. I know about things, but if you want me to take a deep dive into them, I really can't.
Yeah, the
It's
same.
super generalized.
I have superficial knowledge of many issues.
Same. Although I will say, I feel like there is a shortage of hot doctors. And
True.
you not being in the medical profession does a great disservice to those seeking hot doctors, Medic.
That's true. I appreciate the compliment, firstly. Secondly, I think being a doctor begins to preclude your hotness just because of like the working style. Like I already have a few wrinkles. Like, I've got my laugh lines going on. I didn't go to the gym as much as I do when lockdown isn't happening when I was a doctor. Like I got up to
Mm.
15 kilos heavier than I am now working, which is like 10% of my body weight extra. So being hot is difficult when you're a doctor, I think. But I do still have my stethoscope and scrubs. So if you ever want me to dress up,
Oh, please do.
I mean, I feel like you should dress up for all your streams.
Dude, scrubs are like the comfiest like
Oh, they're
articles of clothing you
so
can own.
good. They're
Like I just
so
exist in
comfortable.
scrub pants now. It's the best.
Did you
Are they
keep
like
your?
sweatpants?
Yeah, did
yes,
you keep your
I
scrub
sure
pants?
did. Dude, they're literally the best pajama pants you can get. Like I
Hell yeah,
swear to
dude.
God.
Even better when if you're working in surgery, you get a new pair every day, and then you just chuck them into a bin. So you just go in, put on a pair of just like random scrubs that have been properly sterilized for you. You don't have to do any laundry. You don't have to think about like, what am I gonna wear today? Because you go in a hoodie and sweatpants, change into your scrubs, and you look fucking professional the entire time. It's great.
Well,
That's-
why would you leave such a comfy / fashionable profession then for something as boring as league casting?
I mean, do you want the serious answer? Or do you want the one that is less emotionally taxing?
Whatever. Obviously, the emotionally taxing one is most interesting to me. But whatever you're willing to give us.
Oh, like I've shared this a few times in the past, but like there were enough moments throughout my 1 year of being a doctor and 5 years of med school that just like ruined me emotionally. Like
Mm,
trying to bring people back from dying when they shouldn't have been. Like it was just not dignified. I did CPR on a patient that had to like ended up shitting themselves and vomiting all over me because you have no control of it when you're dead. And
mhm.
the patient families who really just only cared about their family but got really angry at you because you did things not wrong but just not the way they would want you to do them. So
Right.
like it was just emotionally very draining, and I got an opportunity to cast Vainglory and look at casting the LEC. So took some
How did
time
that
had
come
to do
about?
that. Well, I cast for like 5 years casually when I was in med school, just doing volunteer work, and then I was going to retire when I finished finals, but ended up not retiring because I enjoyed casting too much. So I applied to a Vainglory job, and they accepted me, and I quit. Yeah.
That's fair. I could understand. It's got to be a very just like a emotionally heavy job.
Yeah.
I don't
mean,
think
I-
anyone would like look down on you for taking care of yourself first. Or I
Ah,
imagine
enough,
some
enough
people,
do.
but
Yeah, the internet is a wide and wonderful world, but like
yeah.
I'm very happy I left. Like I loved it, and maybe I'd go back and do something in the medical field at some point. But
Mhm.
I was drinking a lot of alcohol. I was not looking after myself. I was not an emotionally complete human being when I was a doctor. So much
Yeah,
happier
I
now.
can't speak to the firsthand experience of that, obviously, but my mom is a doctor and she was in cardiology for a very long time. So I'm sure you can imagine how
Yeah.
just like knowing the patient that you have just met, and my mom's a very caring person too. Knowing this, sweet old woman you just met is probably going to die of heart failure within like 3 years. She eventually had to get out of cardiology just because of how taxing it was.
It's the amount of people that you send away and that you know are coming back in 3 months, and it ended up not being, hey, I'm helping cure these people. Although I did do some orthopedics, which I really enjoyed because that's like bones and broken bones, and you can fix that, right? Like
Right.
it's basically glorified carpentry, and you just put it back together, and it works in the future. But like it was just you send someone away, they'd be back in 3 months, and you're just delaying death rather than actually curing anything. So.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what we're all
And-
doing all the time. So
In my time in university, I took a medical ethics class, and one of the big topics was euthanasia, right?
Yeah.
A good death, which is what the word means. For those who don't know,
I thought you were talking
euthanasia.
about like young people in India and
Yeah, the actual youth. And I hate this man.
He's worse than me.
God damn it.
so
But
you're
like,
talking about
like
euthanasia.
that subject of like having a good death. There was one paper we read. It was called the Duty to Die, and it was more so. It was just about what's the best way of putting it? Like knowing and being able to confront, like this was a very like individual thing. It wasn't like a prescriptive thing where it's like you should like do this, but like as as we get older, we're going to have to face the medical realities and the costs, because we can save so many or we can extend life
Yeah.
for such a long time, but that comes at a great financial and emotional cost. And the Duty to Die was sort of about considering that cost.
Considering
we
mortality.
get to the when we get to the point, it wasn't like a mandate for people like, when you get to this age, like, you should die. But it was like, what one of the foremost questions in the class was like, at what point would you consider your life to be too I guess heavy,
Not worth living,
for-
basically.
not worth living, I suppose. Not like a suicide kind of like depressed kind of terrible self-loathing kind of way, but in more like, my memory is going, or
Yeah.
I literally can't take care of myself and I'm just waiting to die sort of thing.
That's the whole
Um,
like aspect of dignity around death as well,
Mhm.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, so a part of medicine people probably don't think about that much, and I'm sorry for continuing to derail here. We should probably get
No,
back
you're
to
fine.
like Hades and discussion in a bit, but
Oh, no,
people
you're good,
like
you're
that. There is an entire economic aspect of like, especially in the UK, of like socialized healthcare,
Mhm.
and there's these things called QALYs, so quality adjusted life years, and when people talk about like treatments and like, oh, this could save someone's life, etc., what they don't often realize is it all comes down to money. Like, it all comes down to how many quality adjusted life years can we get per unit cash. So
Mhm.
how many, like, if I put 100 million here, how many extra years of life where people can have quality of life, which basically means can be working or can contribute to the economy, can we get out? And whenever you become a doctor, whenever you like rise up the ranks, that is a discussion you have to start having with yourself. And it's not one that is comfortable, and it's not one you can really ever have with patients, but it definitely affects the care that you give to some people, and probably to some degree affects whether or not you put in like do not resuscitate orders. It's like, actually, how much
Mm.
quality of life does this person have after this point if we try to bring them back? Because society in general like portrays this picture of CPR and resuscitation as something that always works and it's incredible, and you go back to
No.
normal life. It's like, no. As soon as I jump in your chest, you have at least 3 cracked ribs. And if you're 80 years old and you can't walk properly beforehand, how easily do you think you're going to breathe and walk with 3 cracked ribs, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just it's very interesting, but like that sort of side of things was never an easy one for me to deal with.
Yeah.
It's a profession. It's like a professional thing or it's a thing you have to ask as a professional, and as like, even again, like that class really stuck with me. Like in college, as a college student age person, like being asked to think about that at this point. I don't know to what degree it can help me get into like that headspace, because I don't have to deal with it day by day, but like that's something you have to consider as well.
Yeah.
And that's a very individual decision.
And I do think, like, if I went back to it now, like with the maturity I have now, 10 years down the line, 8 years down the line, I think I would be very different as a doctor and very different in the way I treat patients. I could probably manage with it, but
I was gonna
firstly,
say, like, do you think that you'd be able to, like, I guess, stomach the profession better?
yeah, I think like just my coping mechanisms are better. The way that I understand how I work as a human being is better. So, but also like it would be very difficult for me to go back anyway. I'd have to like redo med school basically. So
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the time you spend away is probably an eternity in terms of medicine.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
like
you'd be
it-
surprised.
so much.
Yeah, medicine doesn't progress at the rate people think it does. Like, because you hear about
Yeah.
all these like advancements, and yes, there'd be new drugs and there'd be like a new name to learn, but in terms of actual like cutting edge advancements, they're really not made, and the decisions you have to make around them aren't made until you reach consultancy. By which time, I would have spent like an extra 10 years in the profession, and so would have been able to get those little extra tidbits of knowledge that I'd need. The basics are the basics in the end.
Yeah, it's more about
Yeah.
the practice than the medicine.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
the thing that really, on a personal side, opened my eyes to how slow medicine actually tends to move on the back end is like when I got my Crohn's diagnosis. My GI told me that even though it's like really common and he was sure I had heard of it, Crohn's is still a fairly new diagnosis.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, which is absolutely wild to think about because it's pretty known and
Can't
has
be
been
more than
known
like
for
20 years before
Yeah, exactly.
since we really like
Really?
started learning about it. And like a lot of those diseases, like Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, a lot of disease to do with the brain, like we understand kind of how it works, but in essence, like we don't really
Brain is
understand
some
how
kind of
some of the
black
drugs
box,
work
yeah.
on it. Like the amount of drugs in medicine that it's just like, oh yeah, this a patient got this once and they seem to get better, so now we use it, but we don't really
Yeah.
know why it does what it does. It's like cool.
It's kind of like B&T in a way.
Yeah.
we don't know why the fuck it works. But we're still doing it.
We don't know if it works.
Yeah.
Inject BNT directly into your bloodstream.
Don't
Twice a
do that.
month.
Don't do that. Medically, that is not recommended.
Are you saying as a doctor you cannot recommend a fortnightly
Oh my god.
dose of BNT?
Wait, why are you
Directly
saying,
into
oh my god,
bloodstream.
at fortnightly? I'd go fortnightly. That's a very British way of saying every 2 weeks.
Yeah, no,
It's so
I'm
much
not
clearer
saying
than
it's
bi-weekly or bi-monthly.
I'm not saying it's incorrect to use fortnightly. I'm just it's very cringe.
The fact
to
that I'm
use.
using
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, the
Even though
problem
it
with
is
the
the
clearest
prefix
way of putting
by is it can mean divided in 2 or every 2. So
Yeah.
as a prefix, it just doesn't work that well.
And like
Yeah.
when my brain hears bi-weekly, I think like, twice a week
Yeah.
as opposed to
Every,
every
2
2
weeks.
weeks.
So, Hades.
Right, so we
Yeah.
so there goes
How
the-
about Hades, huh? That game? Crazy.
Woo!
Dude, I'm glad the guest is here to keep us on track. It's
Okay,
very
that was
professional.
one of my
I was
best
bringing
segues.
it back.
That was one of my
I was
best
bringing it
segues.
back.
I'll admit I'm pretty lost in the routed sauce, so I need you guys to keep me here.
Yeah, no, we fall
I-
apart without
can't-
Austin to keep us on track, dude.
I can't resist a good discussion on anything that someone is more qualified to talk about than I am.
Oh, it's great. It's great to hear people that are smarter than you talk about things. That's why I love listening to you guys
Yeah,
talk about
absolutely.
Hades. Like, and like,
Oh, for
it's
sure.
why I love, like, every now and again, I'll do stuff I'll say something in the Discord. Museus will come along and be like, Medic, you're wrong. And I'm like, oh, thanks, Museus. That's really kind of you. And I think he thinks I'm being like really like conceited. Just like, I hate you
Really
so much,
cheeky.
Museus. But I actually really like it because it's like, hey, this person that knows a lot more about this than I do is telling me that I'm wrong.
It's
I love when my favorite. This is a medic and Elo thing, but whenever like we're speaking in very vague terms, that can be known with like hard numbers, right? Like, getting armored louts is like really great in Tartarus, and getting armored witches feels terrible because you get so many of them. And when they just come out with actually, if you look at my spreadsheet, you'll see that these are the numbers, and if you actually cross-check with the chamber you were in, it makes sense that this took so much longer than that.
No.
I love when they come out
Yeah.
with hard numbers because it's one, it's like such specific knowledge, and two, it's just sick to see them drop it on us out of nowhere.
Knowing all their bullshit. On that, I guess, sort of on that note, speaking of talking about video games,
Oh, that is the worst segue you have ever done. That is
it wasn't.
awful.
That one hurt.
It was not worse than So Hades.
Yeah, but you're the host. You're the host. The So
Yeah,
Hades for me was a response to being a guest on a show that talked about philosophy for 30 minutes instead of Hades.
Well, if anything, people would expect more from you because you're an expert and we're just a bunch of fuckheads.
I'm an expert at casting. You think I'm an expert at podcasting? They're entirely different things.
I mean,
It's-
your name is Medic Cass. I mean, it would
That's
be easy.
true, yeah,
It
that's
would
true.
be easy to confuse.
Yeah.
It's very
Cast is in the name.
Also
very
implies I'm really good at
gracious.
Beowulf and Achilles.
Yeah, it's very gracious of you to assume we're also professionals at podcasting. We've done like 4 episodes, dog. We
Yeah,
know
you're on
jack shit.
Spotify though. You're big boys now.
Are we?
Yeah, it's so hard to get on Spotify. It is not. It's very
You could have
easy
just
to
left
get on
it there. You have to keep the curtain drawn over the noobs' eyes that are watching this that don't
Nah,
understand
dude.
how easy it is.
We peel
No,
back the
I'm-
foreskin in this household. They
Oh,
know
God.
Oh
everything.
yeah, we always talk about the secret document that outlines the show that we're talking about, the show that we're doing on the given day.
I'm just happy it's color coded.
It is not color coded.
I just assumed white was
anyone.
anyone can talk about anything. I just,
This is true, but it is not coded.
okay.
One thing that I think you can
Speaking
sort of
about talking about the game, sorry.
well, one thing I think you can lend further expertise on is since we've had so much, I guess, going on in terms of competitive Hades speedrunning. You know, we have the Hermes Cup, and we've had the relay races, and we've had the sort of weekly. Have you participated in the weekly races?
I haven't, but I've wanted to.
Okay. Oh, we've had those too. And also we actually just recently secured a time with Speed Gaming.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Which is happening on, at least to the best of my knowledge, presently, on the 7th of February.
Yes.
I don't know what the exact time is. Hopefully, we can talk about that next time. But
I think
That's
I
really
think
cool.
3-ish p.m. EST.
Yeah, Zach
Something like
mentioned,
that.
3 p.m.
It's not
Yeah,
EST, by the way. It's ET. You're gonna confuse people with EST. It's not summer.
Does it really
Anyway,
change
so yeah,
when
it's
it's-
Speed Gaming, right?
Yeah, we have and so for pretty much all of these events, like commentary is something that's very helpful. And you, Medic, would you say you're a better commentator than you are a doctor?
I definitely have more experience commentating. If you do an objective like how high have I risen as a commentator compared to how high I rose as a doctor, yes, I am a much higher percentage of caster than I am doctor.
Okay, and you've had to subject yourself to plenty of amateur commentary and all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
I guess I don't really know where to begin on the subject, but like, I guess how do you think about how it's going? Like, because when we, or at least when I try to commentate, I encounter a bunch of interesting problems where it's like, like I would like to be able to say, well, they have this, so they can do that, but you know, you miss a lot of things because Hades is so fast paced, and there's details that you miss, and there's so much to talk about because so much happens on screen, but you can only really, like, you kind of have to pick and choose what happens and try to weave that into some sort of understandable narrative for like a general Hades audience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to really try hard to not to pick the weeds you can dive in and just how deep you can go into those weeds, right? Because you can get really deep into like all of the small things that happen in like a Hades race, for example, right? But you don't have the
Yeah.
time, based on the length of the race, but just also you don't always fully have the audience for that either, you know?
I think that's very true. It's a bit of a different perspective than I have for League of Legends because that's two people directly competing against each other, and each player's actions affects the other player, right? So it's very easy to when you are comparing to compare directly across and say, well, this player doing this means that this player can't do this. Whereas with
Right.
with speedrunning, I think especially with races, the issue you have is if you are concentrating too much on one side, then you miss something on the other side, or you miss the hammer that they picked up, or you miss like they picked up Heartrend, and you can't obviously see that on the screen, so you can lose some of that clarity that you'd like around it. And then as Satan says, it's where you are aiming it, because because the Hades speedrunning community is still relatively young, and a lot of the people who are watching it won't be the Vareems or the Dunkos or the Webbs or the Risks or the Satans of the world who understand the game to like a high level. You have to debate what sort of tier of casting you do. Like, you're not at the, hey, this is
What
Hades.
denominator
Yeah.
are you speaking to?
It's not the GDQ audience where it's like, hey, this is a game where you go through hell and you pick up boons and you do stuff. Like, everyone watching a Hermes Cup understands that. But does everyone watching a Hermes Cup understand why you would run Heartrend? Like, probably. Do they understand why Chaos Dash Strike is good on Nemsword? Maybe not as much, right? Like, so you have to pick the level that you're going to look for, and you do risk alienating some of the higher tier runners when you do that. But then, in a purely economic sense or in a purely like viewer sense, they are likely to watch anyway, even if you don't have that every little tidbit of knowledge explained or highlighted. And if you can throw in a cool breakdown here or there where you talk about how you need 3 poms in common snowburst to make sure you can kill the souls in Elysium, that keeps them interested enough to continue tuning in.
Yeah. So it's more about like picking your battles wisely.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, makes a lot of sense.
But that
One-
is
one
also
thing we-
sorry.
Well, I was just gonna one thing we need, and hopefully Museus or someone can sort out is like have some kind of dashboard that feeds
Yeah, a spec client.
yeah,
Spectator
some,
client,
yeah, something like that. Yeah, sure. I don't. Is that what you guys use for
Yeah.
for League
So
of Legends?
we have an overview, the spectator overview, where we can see everything in the game, every character, where they're moving, their gold, their items, their experience, etc. So that's what we show to the audience as well. But I also have my own personal one where I can click on things and be like, oh, he's put 3 points in his queue, which means he's going for this build, or etc. etc. To pull back the curtain even more, I have a computer at the desk. And so if I don't know the name of something, or if I've forgotten a player's age or like his nationality or something, I can just Google it. So I'm nowhere near as smart as I sound on the broadcast. Not that I usually sound that smart.
Man, they just.
I-
Oh, you can go ahead.
I didn't have anything important to say. I was just saying. Do I ever? I was thinking. I don't know if this is true, but I was told at one point. You know how, like goal or not goal. How like soccer or football, depending on where you are. Commentators will like yell like goal for super long. Like someone told me that one of the reasons they do that is because they're looking up the players' names or something like that, so they can, like get information about them. I don't know if that's true, but that seems
It
like
wouldn't
it's true
surprise
some of the
me.
time.
It wouldn't
Yeah, no,
surprise me.
Yeah.
that would definitely track.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Especially since the speed gaming thing. Me and Satan, you are commentating with me, right? Is that what we're doing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're
You
still the
vibing about
dynamic
it.
duo, even though you cheated on me with Museus recently. We are still the dynamic
Well,
duo. with
you were
Hayden's casting.
racing. I couldn't get you in there with me while you were racing.
You could have.
I
I
actually
will
think that's
say.
the evolution, by the way. Like you jump in, like so, especially for the relays, like halfway through a run, all of the players have to be like consent to it, obviously. But you just jump into one of the calls and you're like, "Hey, how's the build going? What are you thinking? What are you looking for, etc." Because it's so easy to do. And
Yeah.
like we tried it out with League a couple of times, but teams don't always like you giving away their secret strategies. But there aren't
Yeah.
as many like secret strats in Hades. You say what boon you're looking for, and it doesn't really give anything away, right? But I think that could be really interesting.
Yeah, although depending on, in order to do that, especially for most like the speed gaming thing is PG rated. So if we hop in like fuck, like that would be the wrong time to come. in.
Yes, yeah. But
I mean,
you
obviously we
just
would
do like a
alert them.
pre-warning and say captain needs to tell the player we're coming in 30 seconds, and then like super easy.
That's fair. That would require another individual on production.
Yes, I'm not saying it's viable. I just think it would be super cool, and like understanding a player's decision making in the moment and adding that little
Yeah.
bit of extra drama, which I think someone said that we need more drama. Was it you, Riss?
Yeah,
I think
it's
it was
me.
you.
I maintain
it
that the
was
speed
Satan.
community needs more drama.
Well,
We're
I think it'd
too
be
damn
cool.
nice.
Yeah.
I'm
Um,
trying, okay?
I
And
do
let's
want
try
to
too.
touch real quickly, just for some own self-horn tutage, that I was glad to be able to race in the relay race, because I sort of got a chance to reaffirm myself that, and to other people that, yeah, I am actually good at RTA. I swear, guys. I am good at more than just routed right now. I promise.
It's definitely a thing though, right? Like, because I didn't join even. I realized I've joined one of the like weekend races, just like meme races and such. But I didn't join them for a long time because I was like, I'm only an IGT runner and I can only
Right.
do RS Rail. And just the willingness of the community just to like accept anyone to come in, and even someone as bad as you, Satan, is
Even
just like,
you.
yeah, it's really good, you know.
Hey, I just want to point out that we were at a deficit, and I brought us to a biome ahead lead.
Didn't your opponent die in Asphodel?
Nope, that was Fist.
Oh, okay.
No,
Well, one of his
Lightning
opponents died.
tried their best to keep up with me, but just sadly couldn't with my expert Achilles knowledge.
But could not find rush delivery.
When I, however, was smart enough to choose the Hermes that would give me rush
Yeah.
delivery.
Just
You
put
did
the-
roll
put the
twice
Manets
for it.
in and got it.
Yeah, no, that was part of their route. You didn't know?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, like you rolled hard for it and you got rewarded. That's
Yeah.
like that's part of the skill. Also, 112.
It's decent.
Out of-
I've had a 110 before.
I mean, this is still pretty fast though. Like,
Yeah, it's like fine.
I want to say that we're coming up on time, and we should move to the most popular section of the podcast, the anime section.
Yeah,
but
totally.
I also want to say you've missed out a very important question in this general speedrunning section, and I feel like if we ask the penis question, we have to ask the final question,
Hmm.
Okay,
which is
well,
Alright.
so why are your nips so symmetrical and poggers?
well, that question is for you,
Yeah.
Medic.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that anywhere, so I feel we all have to answer it.
Well, this assumes that my nips,
my
are
nips,
symmetrical
Personally
and
speaking,
poggers.
my nips aren't symmetrical. They're pretty poggers, but they're not symmetrical,
Okay.
so to speak. Like one's an innie, one's an outie. It's super uncomfortable, but you know, it is what it is.
I've always thought I had really small nipples.
Same.
They're
Actually,
quite
not that I
my
think your
niche.
nipples are. I'm agreeing that I think my. Anyways, please continue about your nipples.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I was born that way, I guess. Nipples on men are the most useless thing in the world, by the way. Like,
It's true.
They're very uncomfortable. I don't like it when
wait, why are your nipples uncomfortable? You getting
No,
them
my
caught
nip-
on
no,
things?
No, my nipples are like they're comfortable, like they exist, they're fine. But it's like I just said there's nothing going on, right?
They're
It's just-
unnecessary, I
they
guess.
exist.
They're an erogenous zone,
They are that, yes.
It's so
and
weird.
also they're like guide marks. You got your eyes closed, lights are off.
It's
Wait, what?
Never get lost.
What do you mean?
huh?
Is this like how moss always grows on like the north side
Well,
of the
no,
tree? or
like-
something?
If you are having
nips
intimate
always point.
time with a man or a woman, right? The nipples are a good guiding post of like where you are in terms of the body.
Right.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, this is true. I feel like
medically as a fact. I'm just it was
okay. Well, medically, I
second
get,
year of
yeah, I
med
can get
school was
behind
all about nipples.
medically.
so-
Okay, I gotcha.
I think if you're a medical professional and you're getting lost around the body to begin with, you probably got to
also
go back to med school.
Yeah, and if you have
I
your
feel like
eyes
if you
closed and
need
the
the
lights
nipples-
off during an examination, you're probably doing something
Uh-huh.
wrong. So
There's probably grounds for a lawsuit. I'm
Yep.
gonna be honest with you.
anyway, moving on.
Moving on, like as I said, like I want to call time because
There's still plenty of time for this to drop. Have no fear.
There's plenty of time for this to drop. So and the folks, anyone who's listening on Spotify is gonna be really confused. Like, what are they stalling for? Like, what?
Because I'm on a
What?
212 Asphodel
He's on-
exit.
he's-
I'm
he's
trying
out
to
of-
game.
He's out of Asphodel by the time most blazing gamers are out of
Elysium.
Tartarus.
Elysium, yeah,
Elysium?
Tartarus.
Thanks for the assist, Medic. I really appreciate it. You know, you got me.
I talk about the league good. I don't talk about the Hades good.
Are you ever? I mean, I know it's what you do. I know it's what you do for a living, but will you ever consider like guesting or whatever to like
happily.
lend your gaming expertise?
Happily, it would be a very different experience to you guys commentating on Hades, because I would go all play by play. I'd just go super hype and let you guys do the knowledge stuff. But I'd
Honestly,
happily guess.
I would be so curious. I would be super curious to see what like someone who actually knows what they're doing does when they tackle the challenge of commentating over Hades speedrunning.
I think a single speedrun is a lot easier than a race, obviously. But yeah, I think it would be really fun, especially
Well,
with
I think
people
it's-
who are knowledgeable.
I think it's almost the opposite for me, because during the race, during the relay race, having two runners to compare to kind of gives you something to talk about, as opposed to just them in a vacuum.
I get that. I think like the comparison makes parts of it easier, but the fact that you like without a spectator client or whatever that you don't know exactly what's going on makes it a lot more
Yeah.
difficult, right? Because in
It-
the
it
end, you're
does a
talking
little bit.
about compared to optimal, compared to like what is perfect in this scenario, which I think you can kind of estimate at least with Hades. Then it's easier for me if you just have a single runner in isolation. I can be like, well, he didn't find Heartrend here, and he was obviously looking for Heartrend here, or he like his fight
Yeah.
was off because he didn't cast, or yeah.
Well, there is also room for speculation. Like,
Oh,
if
yeah.
someone's behind, you can speculate. Oh, like what would be necessary for for this person to catch up, or what could they have done to have made up more time? That, like, at the very least for me,
Yeah.
like for someone of my experience, like that helps you fill a lot of time. And but it really dropped when one of the penalties for dying in the relay race was like you take a time penalty depending on where you died. Someone died in Asphodel, so there was a 15-minute deficit, and the way they did it for that race was if someone dies, the next person just goes and we add on the time. But without knowing exactly like sort of what the side by side looks like,
Yeah, what
it
you're
was
racing
very
against. Yeah.
yeah, you just lose that completely, and all of a sudden the times are meaningless.
I get
There's
that.
just no context for where they are in terms of how fast they're going for because you don't need to be because like this was something that we learned when we were practicing Gilgamesh for last Hermes Cup, which is you don't have to go fast. You just have to go faster than the person you're racing against. And the difference is like night and day, honestly.
Oh, definitely. Just being able to be consistent and not make mistakes or not make big mistakes is so much more important in a race than it is in an individual run. That is schmoving, Satan.
I think we're off
We
route,
are
by the
too.
way.
Oh.
Are we off route?
We'll see.
Well, we'll see. Where do you think you dropped it?
Mid shop or in shop rather. Yeah, we're off route. These are the wrong voice lines.
Run it anyway.
Well,
Go for the
yeah,
2 sec.
Close it out.
Leave.
Close it out. Take us home, baby.
Here we go.
No pressure.
Time to
this
pray.
time.
5 dashes, 6 dashes, 480% extra dash strike damage, something stupid like that.
Yeah, it's just it's a lot. It's a lot of damage.
Thing is, I don't. So for a game like Hades, I don't feel as though it's as it's as good to have, or I don't think it's as what's the word I'm looking for?
Necessary.
Not necessary. Like a play by play commentary isn't as useful.
Yeah, I
Um,
100% agree.
Because like the inputs are they're going to be the same. The moves that they come out are like they're going to be like predictable enough. It's more like the high level decision making and the luck and I guess to some degree like the small mechanical aspects
Yeah.
are significant.
I think what you want is you want a guy that can be exciting while having that knowledge.
Mm.
So like that would be if I were to cast something like this, I would look to be analytical and talk about like the builds and the rooms and like how things are being played out, and then near the end when things get tight, that's where I try and go like high play by play and be hype and be exciting.
Yeah, this run's fucking dead, by the way. We got 2 small rat rooms. I don't think there's any way this PBs.
Oh, we'll see if you
I
get
do
2
think-
sack.
We still get 2 sack, and I guess PB is still off the table, especially with that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I will
Oh
say
god. Sorry.
I will say I would I don't know how it's perceived in the like shoutcasting world, but I have a special soft spot in my heart for the kind of commentary that is just I mean we all know the what was it the meme Happy Feet
Wombo
exactly.
combo.
Wombo
That ain't
combo.
Falco.
Exactly. It's just a bunch of nonsense, but you know what's going on, and it just gets you there.
Putting
Yeah,
the shout in shoutcasting.
I think the fighting games community is great for that. Like lines like,
absolutely.
"Oh, he's downloading him. 74 kilobit connection." It's fucking great. I love it. But yeah, you can have those lines, but like for League of Legends, it's very different to that because
Yeah.
the general assumption is that people don't really see the minutiae in fights, whereas in fighting games, people you know what I don't play fighting games, but you know like what a down air is, and I don't know, a B combo words. I think the best fighting game moment I've ever seen is is it Street Fighter where they block the 13 attacks in a row.
Yep.
From
Oh,
Chun-Li.
yeah.
Daigo
Daigo.
versus
Yeah.
Even I know what that is.
Justin Wong.
Yeah, that is like the epitome of what I would like to be able to do in casting those sorts of moments. But It's just very different.
What was that? I can't remember honestly, I wasn't thinking about the casting.
They're
when
not
I was
casting.
watching
My
it,
point is that's the sort of moment I would like to
Yeah.
be able to experience because
Yeah.
everyone knows what's happening and can appreciate it, and so all you have to do is provide your passion. You don't
yeah,
have like,
because there's no time to explain that these
No.
blocks are like frame perfect and like you have to do them all perfectly and all
Yeah.
that shit. Like it's just
so
like
yeah. Like one of my favorite casting moments is I literally just shout a player's name. That's all I do. But because of like you can see what happens, and because of the moment, and because of how important it was, me just shouting caps, like it fills me with so much joy. And people will still bring it up and they're like, "Oh, that was a really good moment." It's like I literally just said a player's name, but because
you
like,
I
don't
did
have
it at
to
the right
over
time.
explain
Yeah.
anything or like
Yeah.
flood the place with words, which is a perfect transition into
Wow, fuck you, Riz. I was gonna add something, but no, it's cool. It's cool.
Oh,
So how
no,
about
you
that
can add
garbage
something.
anime that Riz13 recommended to us?
Fuck Katana Gatari, dude.
Oh god. All right. So also you can stop your Discord stream if you want.
Yeah.
So we have exited the Hades / medicine section of the podcast. So you know where the door is.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Bye.
People
Thanks
exit
for-
if you want to people.
Guys,
People
I
exit.
had to watch this anime. You guys have to watch it too. You have to listen to me talk about it because Risk's opinions are wrong.
Oh god. All right. So, Katana Gatari is
Dog shit.
it was and is a series of light novels. What's his name? Nisio Ishin, I think.
Yep.
That's how you pronounce it. The fellow behind the Monogatari series. Katana Gatari is very much in Ishin's style. Lots of dialogue. Lots of lots of dialogue. And the show is about a pair of individuals who are attempting to find 12 legendary swords made by a legendary blacksmith who has long since perished but left behind these incredibly powerful blades. And they're trying to find all of them so that one of the main characters, Togame, is able to, I guess, save Japan, as she sometimes describes it. And takes place over 12 episodes, one sword per episode. You can kind of imagine how it goes. And it is one of my favorite animes. So let's go around and get some general thoughts.
I've got a lot to say about this.
I'm curious to see. I'm curious to hear what you guys have. No one came to me saying, "Rist, since this is your favorite anime, it is now my favorite anime."
No.
Moreover, it seems so everyone here is quite hostile to the show.
So
I'm
before
curious
we-
as to what's happening.
before we dive into general thoughts, can you just give me just the real quick couple line version why this is your favorite anime? Because like I struggled to finish this show. It's a lot.
So part of the reasons, some of the reasons that I enjoy the show probably have to do with a couple of the things that I consider to be really important to me. I love reading and I love writing.
Mhm.
And one thing that Ishin does that I envy as a writer, or someone who likes to write in any case, is the audacity with which he writes. Like every scene gets a lot of dialogue. And I consider it to be pretty good dialogue. It's like really dense. I think it's quite engaging. And genuinely funny at plenty of moments. And
Sorry. That's sigh took off.
and so the show sort of exemplifies that. And I also like the thorough exploration of themes. So like the 12 swords each have like their own special legendary quality. And it starts off really, really simple. Like, one sword is unbreakable. Meanwhile, another sword can cut through another sword, and they address that paradox as well. And it gets all the way up. It gets further and further abstracted into like one is just a wooden training sword to a literal pair of guns.
Yeah.
And to the point where it sort of comes full circle, where one of the main character considers himself to be a sword, and uses a fighting style called Kyotoryu, which is a swordless sword style, as they describe it. And so that the show does a lot of work to get you to convince you that these are swords and that these swords have their own special worth. So there's a lot more, and especially since I really like the ending.
What is wrong with you?
It I don't know how hard we want to spoil. Like we'll probably spoil it.
We're going
definitely
full
gonna spoil it.
spoilers.
I'm sorry, we can't
So
discuss
if
it without
if you
spoiling it.
like Nisio Ishin's work and you have not watched Katana Guitar, you should stop now and watch that. But otherwise, just whatever. So yeah, all that
So-
stuff. That's why I like.
Yeah, Austin,
those
you
are
can
some of
go
the reasons why I
first.
love it. But yeah, Satan, go for it.
So, without going too deep, this show genuinely hurt me to watch just from the amount of effort I consider myself up there when it comes to patient viewers. I can stomach some bullshit and I can sift through some shit, but I felt like I haven't felt genuinely drained just from the sheer amount of reading and amount of attention this has demanded of me in so long that towards the end I gave up on following the story. Because what I could do is, and I told Webs this, is I could watch like the first 5 minutes. All right, I'm gonna pull out my phone for 30 minutes, then we'll get to the interesting part where they're actually doing stuff, and they'll recap everything I missed for me anyway, and I can move on to the next episode. That's what I did to watch like the last half of the show.
So I just as an addition there, yes, lots of reading. However, I went online after watching this show because I was like, Riston's like, he's a relatively smart man. For him to say this is his favorite anime, I don't know what's going on here. And I read a bunch of reviews, and they all say it is so much better if you watch it in the way it was released, which was like one every week or one every month. Because
Yeah.
I could
I could see
100%
that.
It's very
see
dense.
it being a lot more enjoyable than watching 12 episodes in 3 days. 'Cause
Yeah,
that was
exact-
just,
I
like,
think
it
that
was
was-
too much.
Yeah.
I think that was
And
all of our problems.
I did warn you guys, like, this show is super dense. It demands your attention. Now, I didn't say you should spread it out. I don't know if you guys would have if
I'll be
Even if I
honest,
had said
I would
so.
not have put the effort in to think about spreading it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have
that-
probably
same,
done like
actually.
one a day or something, but I'm a simple man. I get homework. I wait till 2 to 3.
yeah,
to
it's
show
not
days
something you can
before.
just throw on and like glance over, like, okay, yeah, and then like get like a lot of shonen or whatever where dialogue is basically filler. You're there for the fights, and and again, I do really enjoy reading. I don't know if you guys like the most recent book I've read is House of Leaves. It's pretty dense, it's pretty long. I really enjoyed it. I am a reader, so I'm also like I'm fine with just reading. I love reading.
Yeah, but like I enjoy reading too. I
Yeah.
just don't go to visual media to read. Like
Same.
to that
same.
degree. Like it was a lot. And I also I let Web speak before I say anything because mine's more a thematic discussion than a
For
general
sure.
discussion.
I just want to add, it was a ton of reading, and heavy dialogue in a show is not something I'm unfamiliar with. That being said, what I have issue with is the first 2 episodes. I do not give 2 flying fucks about, because holy fuck, it's specifically the second episode where they talk about catchphrases for like 10 to 20 minutes, dude. I don't give a shit. Just move on.
To speak on that, I think the most egregious episode of it all, and what was truly my breaking point, I told Risk and everyone else before we started how I watched the show, and I got up to episode 9 specifically, got halfway through because it was the 9 for. To add a bit of context, they show up at this Kendo dojo, and that's where you find the wooden sword, right?
Oh, this
Oh,
fucking
God.
bitch, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I drew the line, because I moved my mouse to see how deep I was when I felt like literally I saw the same gag a good 6 times of, oh, he's training, oh no, Togami sees him in a slightly compromising position, she's upset, so she half-heartedly mentions it, and he goes back to train, and they just do that bit a good 6 or 7 times,
That episode
and
was probably the weaker episode of the season.
And it got to the point where I was like, okay, I just pulled up Katana Gatari on Wikipedia. I read the synopsis for 9, 10, 11, and I told myself I would watch 12. I went through those episodes, watched the interesting sounding parts from the synopses, and then moved on. And for point of reference, this is a 45-minute per episode show, and it's synopsized in 6 sentences per episode on Wikipedia. Like, when we say dense, oh my god.
Yeah. I started resenting the show because I couldn't. I wanted to do runs today, and I was like, "Can I do a run
Same.
while watching
I
this
said
show?" I was like, "No."
specifically, you can't do this. You can't
I know
watch
you
the
did.
show.
And
while-
no, Riz, none of us are blaming you for this, right? Apart from the fact you
We're
made us fucking
blaming
watch
the
it.
It
show.
sounds like some people are blaming me.
I'm more so
Um,
blaming myself that I waited till the last fucking minute to watch it again.
Okay, fair enough.
On a separate note, I think like thematically it's kind of interesting as a show. Like each episode obviously has its specific, like, this is what we're exploring this week. Buckling for the ride, kiddos. Today you're gonna learn about sometimes good people are bad, or sometimes bad people are good. And like it's fine, right? The way it discusses it is fine, but from the start of the episode you can kind of see where it's going to end up, like especially the one with the Thousand Swords. I think it's like episode 3
Yeah.
or something. Like, you know that
That is
he's
one of
going
my
to feel
favorite
bad.
episodes.
I mean, it's a
Yeah,
good
same.
episode, right? But like from the start, you know how that's going to end up. Like, you know he's going to feel bad about having to kill her. Maybe he won't have to kill her, but eventually he's probably going to have to kill her.
He doesn't feel bad about killing
Yeah.
her. Like, he never really does.
Well,
like,
no,
he
he-
sort of has to face it in like episode 10 or something, but the
Yeah,
point,
so
like,
my
he
point
does
is-
kill her dispassionately.
But yeah,
and
but my point is, like,
he's
you
okay
know
with
that
it.
is how that emotion is going to play by the end of it, right? Because from the start, he is portrayed as this like unloving sword man who is only a sword who doesn't have to think. And from any show I've ever seen, you know that, well, what's going to happen by the end of this arc? Oh, he's going to feel like a human. He's going to have to think about things. And like adding in big spoilers again, Toragami's death at the end, like I dislike the flexibility that the writer gives themselves by saying, by having the last line be, oh, can I fall in love with you, or whatever it is, right? Like, oh, can I fall for you? Because I would have much preferred Toragami's death to be this, like, actually she wasn't the kindly motivated person that she seemed to be, and it was all an act, than to give yourself this not like this get out clause, which is, oh, she wasn't a good person, but she did fall in love with him, right? Because like that level of just like I would much prefer as a viewer to just be like, actually this person was an evil person, than them to be like, oh, she was kind of evil, but also you can still love her. Because
Yeah,
otherwise, like, you're giving me too much. You're trying to
Yeah.
have both cakes, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Inversely,
I think that like she was also trying to have her cake and eat it too. Like, she was trying to both love him and like get ready to kill him and like throw him away afterward, right? And that was like what she was sort of dealing with as well.
Yeah,
so
maybe I just prefer
The,
to be.
the show
told
wasn't
off.
asking of you anything more than Togami was asking of herself, I guess. Or Gone Webs.
I was just gonna say inversely. Actually, I like that a lot about her character, and that's when I, funny enough, started to give a shit about Togami. It's because through the whole show, you see her described as this very cold and uncaring person, and only caring about herself. But the way she acts isn't like that at all, and you don't really see that until that last episode. And then it kind of makes sense for you in a bit, but you can also see that there was some truth to how she was feeling and acting with him, even if she was trying to accomplish her own selfish goals. You know what I mean? I really do like the most of the character writing in this show. I know I'm giving it a lot of shit for a lot of dialogue, because I think a lot of it doesn't matter in the long run. But when it really does focus on the characters and their motivations and what kind of people they are, goddamn, it hits.
Yeah, like, to step back from the relentlessly shitting on the show, too, it's like, credit, I will give it. There were some like really cool and interesting things that it did, right? The sister
Episode
stuff.
7 for me. Like,
Which is episode 7?
I
That-
where
yeah, where he has to fight his sister.
yeah, Shishka has
Yeah.
to fight
Oh, yeah.
Nanami. And they're fighting at they're fighting under the sword Buddha, which is by
Yeah.
the way the coolest thing I've ever heard
Mhm.
about in my entire life. And when the temple is on fire, and
Yeah,
Nanami gets back up, and the sword Buddha like turns its head to look at them.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that was
oh,
cool.
that's so cool.
yeah, they did a lot of really cool stuff with Nanami. Like even back in episode 4, where like they had been halfway like as a side thing hyping up the best swordsman in Japan,
Yeah.
and like they're getting ready to finally fight him, but like you never get to see the fight at all. That episode is focused on Nanami back
Yeah.
on the island whooping ass because surprise surprise she secretly had the Sharingan the entire time and is like actually fucking broken.
That episode 4 was actually my favorite because it was
Episode 4 was cool because you get to see her beat ass and they just
Yeah, yeah,
pan
yeah.
back and they're talking about how awesome this fight was that
yeah,
we will never
'cause
get to
it was
see.
like the it was the oh shit moment of wow she's damn
Yeah,
near a
so
god to the
fucking
comedic
overpowered.
moment of you didn't get to see this epic fight, get fucked.
I will say I quite enjoyed some of the meta stuff that happened.
Yeah.
Like, I know you didn't. You say you didn't like the catchphrase discussion, but having
Mhm.
watched like some anime around this time, I quite like the idea that she talks about like writing the story for people, and to me
Yeah.
that was a real like fourth wall nod. And it's like, hey, we need to make this good for the viewers. Like we need the viewers to like
Yeah.
enjoy these catchphrases and enjoy this stuff that's going on. So. I quite like it when shows deliberately metagame a little bit like that, and
Yeah.
And
that was
that
interesting.
catchphrase, like that whole catchphrase discussion for me pays off at the end of the episode where you don't like he kind of treats the catchphrase as kind of this lame thing and he chooses
It is a lame thing.
the
but-
lamest one like
Uh-huh.
as just to like end the conversation. But by the end of the episode, he uses it in a really cool way and you're like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Like it
I,
actually
I'll be
worked
honest,
out.
this catchphrase is pretty shit. By the end of this, you'll be
It-
torn to pieces or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's not great.
It doesn't always fit either, you know, but he
Yeah.
certainly does try to make it
Ah,
fit.
I do like
He's
the way
such
he's
a
like,
fucking-
well, by the end of this, you'll be torn to pieces, but I can't damage you because you're a robot sword, so...
Right.
Yeah. Man, this
Um,
show, it was such a roller coaster of either hitting or missing for me.
Yeah.
That being said, at the end of the day, I think overall I did enjoy it quite a lot, but
Didn't
there'd be
you say you like I know why like it makes sense why Wrist really loves this show?
yeah,
Was that you?
yeah.
yeah.
It does make a lot of sense because it's very comedic. The writing's good. It's got good characters.
I guess
It sounds exactly like something you would love.
I wonder if I would have preferred if it was 24 25-minute episodes. Like twice as many episodes. Put the filler in and the characterization a little bit less in like these big chunks between parts of like one of the sword plots, and then have the sword plots as like their individual episodes. Because I think like the amount of dialogue and the amount of reading that I was doing was draining me for some of the interesting parts of that dialogue. Whereas if you
Yeah.
spread it out a little bit more, maybe I would have enjoyed it more. It was still a good show, right? But
Yeah,
it just wasn't
And-
like
and to
the
be
best show I've
fair,
ever seen.
The way the show aired was one episode per month.
yeah,
Yeah.
So the amount of time it took you to watch it as it aired was the same amount of time, like as what happens in the show,
Yeah.
which kind of justifies the density.
And it also
Yeah.
plays
And-
into the whole theme per episode. Like you have a
Yeah.
month to evaluate the theme and think about how you would have dealt with the situation or whatever.
hmm like it.
And then there's also the broader sort of, and they never really get into specifics, but seems as though it's about this crazy blacksmith from the past trying to prevent what happens to Japan in World War II. That seems
Yeah.
like what's going on.
Mhm.
And they hint at it. They never like to talk about how like shit's going to get destroyed. Like I guess they kind of do. Like a foreign
they do,
country is
yeah.
going to come
Yeah.
and destroy
And then they do the
destroy
whole-
Japan.
Falsifying history thing as well is a very on the nose nod towards
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Speaking of, can we talk about this blonde bitch? Why did she live? Why is she not dead? I'm very upset about it.
Because I like when I was reading through about it, it's like the idea that she was actually Togami's friend, right? And that's why
Mhm.
what's his name, the sword dude,
Shikizaki
Shishiki?
Shikizaki Kiki.
Yeah, that's the one.
Shikizaki.
Why the sword dude decides to ask that question? Because like the whole show is about unfulfilled questions, and it tries to
Right.
answer them in the final episode, which I'm not sure it does. Like you have the why are you fighting, even the whole catchphrase discussion, and then like how she should survive at the end. But I wasn't
epilogue-
fulfilled with the final episode personally.
Yeah, I was gonna say the
Yeah,
epilogue just
same.
kind of pissed me off, right? Because
Yeah.
the episode itself, the final episode, is really, really sick, and I honestly was happy with it until I saw the epilogue. Because
Yeah.
you get the culmination of this guy that slowly transforms from idiot, no feeling me swordman to, hey, maybe there's a little something something here under the table, to suddenly it's just all shattered and gone. And you get to see him just really go all out, breaking sort of all of these promises he had made to Togame, to just really demolish fucking everyone. He just tears through all 12 of the swords immediately, even resolving to get shot multiple times by the guns just so he could beat Emon Zaimon's
Zaimon.
ass. And like then he just kills the Shogun and credits roll and it's sick. And then it comes back and actually this blonde-haired bitch that we hated isn't that bad in traveling with them, and he's mapping Japan. That's the end to the story after the credits roll.
Do
And
you
that
know
pissed me off.
You know what else pisses me off? Who the fuck was this Soda guy? We never see his face. Who was
Wait,
he?
who?
Imon Zaimon or whatever?
Yeah.
Soda.
Oh,
I called
Emon
him
Zaimon.
Soda.
Oh yeah. Emon Zaimon is a great name.
Do you think he should have just died at the end?
I would have preferred if he
The
died.
main character, yeah.
I
Because
would
then
have.
all of the swords
Yeah.
are shattered, right? And that's quite
Yeah,
cool.
he shatters all the swords, he blows the Shogun's head off, and then he bleeds out from the bullet wounds he sustained. Like, it fits.
He
I think
destroys all
Thus
the
ending
swords.
the swords, like the sword story.
I think he does more than blow the Shogun's head off. He deletes that fucking
Yeah.
head.
So good.
Breaks the temple in half with one punch.
With a big fat Cheerio.
Yeah.
I did like the perfected but not completed kind of mini storyline that goes on there.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. I actually looked up some Japanese swordsmithing stuff to see if there's like correlations between it. And there's an idea of like heat tempering and how you have to fold the swords so many times, and then you perfect it, and then you complete it with a different style of heat tempering than you do in Western swordsmithing. So
yeah.
there's a few correlations if you really are looking for them, which is quite cool.
And
Yeah,
and
sure.
there's some like even I kind of allow for some of this just in my mind, even though I can't like wrap my head around it because I'm not Japanese. But Ishin also includes a lot of wordplay.
Yeah, he really
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of
the
editing.
When you're
translators-
reading
Yeah.
two things on the screen at the same time, like at the top is the wordplay prompt, and at the
Yeah.
bottom, is just
Yeah.
like, wait,
Well, like,
to
but
pause
those
it.
are just those are just the minor things. But like the major things, so like I guess like Togame means something like snake or something like
Mhm.
that. But her former name, I called her a princess, started with a Y. I can't remember. But that word, that
Yoshu.
word means like forgiveness or something like that. So when she sheds, so when we hear this, like if we understood Japanese, we would say, oh, like this means that she has like shed the
snakehood,
the
yeah.
capacity to she shed the capacity to forgive, and she's taken on this new name. Or the princess's name, her name is like Hitai or something like that. Like the word literally means deny. And there's a whole bunch of stuff like that in the show that like I obviously would not have gotten. And they talk about how like the names are written like this, and I don't read Japanese, so
Right.
I don't know the significance of that sort of stuff. There are a lot of little subtleties that I think are lost a little bit in translation.
Can I ask though, if that was in English, so say I named a princess Snake, right? Would we say that was subtle?
I
'Cause
don't
to me,
think
like, it
Ishin
depends-
is terribly interested in being subtle.
Yeah, but then they're not subtleties. That's the issue. Like if you're saying there are these little subtleties we're
Well,
missing,
there's
they're not
subtleties-
subtle. They're
there's
very
subtleties to
in your
us, I
face.
They're
Yeah.
subtleties to me, I suppose.
Yeah, but do you think it changes if you're? So I'm not saying you're wrong or anything here, right? But like, if I'm interpreting it as it was meant to be interpreted in the Japanese, right? Like, does that change the perspective on how the writing has happened and how like refined it is if someone is just called
That's-
Princess Snake?
That's a really good question, and I don't know enough about Japanese to know what it
Yeah.
means when something means snake, right? Does it literally, like, in English, does it mean like
Yeah. Is it like
like,
Ado?
like
Is it
it like
Viper? Is
one
it-
like
yeah.
if I like is her having that name the English equivalent of her having the name like snake? I don't know. That is for someone more knowledgeable in
Yeah.
Japanese than me to comment on.
I will
Interesting,
say, I think I would have gotten more enjoyment out of the show as a dub. And I think the show's probably a bit easier to watch if you do speak Japanese and you aren't relying on the subtitles to know what's going on.
Mhm.
That could also be true.
Because of the like, and you would lose some of the wordplay and things that you were speaking to, right? But like at the same time, you would maintain the ability to sort of treat it like other anime, where like if you watch the dub, you can play something else and like you'll pick up on the dialogue and you'll be able to follow what they're saying, but you don't have to 100% laser focus read word for word what's going on. You know, it doesn't
think
demand your
that's
full
a-
attention in the same
It's
way.
less of a
Yeah, but
study.
then-
I think that's a hard criticism of how you consume
Yeah.
media as
Oh, sure,
opposed to
sure.
the media itself.
I think
Yeah, for
if
sure.
you would do it like that, then I think you would lose out on a lot of the effect of the show, personally. If that makes sense. 'Cause I think it's meant to demand your attention a lot, even if you would be Japanese, I would imagine.
We can
Just-
talk briefly about the art.
It was pretty
Oh,
weak.
yeah,
The artists.
It was pretty
I,
weak.
it's so it's funny. I mentioned, I think a while ago, Webs. I said, oh, like, you don't have to draw things super complicated. Like they can look like this, and I actually sent you one of the images from Kanagatari, like, oh, this like flat shit or whatever.
Mhm.
And it's not like when I say the animation is good. I guess I specifically said the art, not the animation. The animation doesn't seem to be super complicated.
Well, it's the same
But
thing,
all
really.
the character design I think is super good.
You know,
Like
it's-
there's nothing that looks like this show that I know of anyway.
No,
Like the characters are incredibly distinct.
well, I mean, no, I could probably point it in the same vein of something like Kiesniver, because that show, I think it falls in a lot of the same vein, where character design's very good, animation not that great.
Right.
So I would, calling it like a one of a kind in that regard, I wouldn't. But
Okay, fair enough.
I do
Haven't
think
watched
that,
enough anime to say that, I guess.
yeah, no, that's fair. I do think the character design very good.
Yeah.
I think the overall art of the show very, very plain. But I did very much enjoy how they kind of switched up the styles every now and then throughout
Mm-hmm.
each episode. Like you see it a lot in the episode where he fights his sister. They go for like
Yeah.
a very
Yeah, episode
simplistic.
7 just changes the style completely.
Yeah, they go for like a very simplistic, heavy lined art style, and then you see, fuck, what was the other episode? The one where he fights Ho-Ho. Like the background's very simple, and it brings out the characters a lot, which is cool.
Mhm.
So it's got some cool art. Animation, dog shit for the most part, until you get to like episode 11 or 12.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll just say that the fact they don't realize hair goes over eyes, totally
That's
took
an
me away.
That's an anime
right?
thing.
That's
I-
an anime pet peeve
like,
of mine as well.
Hair
Ain't that
goes
true?
in front of your eyes. I can't see your eye through your hair.
Also,
It's not
that
happening.
character is a ghost.
So
Uh, holy man, technically.
Who is basically a ghost.
No, holy man. Okay.
Who is a ghost? Ethereal.
Okay, it happens with every
phantasmal.
character. Okay, if you want me
yeah,
to,
it happens with like.
I'm not gonna
99%
go
Okay.
of
back
them.
and watch the show because I've given this show 12 hours of my life and I'm never getting
guess
those
that's
hours
fair.
back. Okay.
I will say one thing I took away from this show is I'm probably prepped and ready to watch Bakemonogatari now. Which is something
I
I'm.
highly recommend Bakemonogatari.
Wait a second.
I highly recommend Bakemonogatari. I
Oh,
can't
you've seen it?
speak too much for. I can. I can't. I haven't watched. I think I watched the next in the series, whose name I can't remember, but
Yeah,
I really
fair.
enjoyed Bakemonogatari.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. But I feel like it's gonna be in the same vein, being from the same dude.
The episodes are shorter, but there's
Thank God.
there's a lot of talking.
I think the more I think about if I'd watched it slowly, the more I think I would have
Yeah,
enjoyed this show. I think it was just it's an overload. Like it's like
Yeah,
trying to read
it's-
all of War and
Yeah.
Peace in a week. Right?
Yeah,
it is
that would
a
even
even
heavily
with
color.
I would say even with 12 or 14 days, it's definitely a tough watch. Even like an episode a day, I don't think I would have fully enjoyed it.
Yeah, same.
I would I think I could do an episode a week. I think an episode a month would probably be ideal as that's how it was aired. But at the same time, I think I could get away with like an episode a week. But even if being a good boy and working on my assignment all throughout the deadline instead of cramming towards the end like I always do, an episode a day is kind of rough for a show like this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it depends on your, again, like your general tolerance for reading, and
Right.
mine is pretty damn high. So I can enjoy it. Like even like I started watching it or rewatching it again like a week ago or something, but I watched I think 70% of it in the last 3 or 4 days or something like that.
I also
Jesus.
think
And I
on
was fine.
rewatch it's very different to on first watch. Because
Yeah.
on rewatch you can pay a little bit
Yeah.
less attention to stuff, right?
And obviously, I don't think any of you will, but I think a rewatch is very.
I may
rewarding
at
as
some
well.
point.
It's
I'll
probably one of
come
those
back
things
to it
that
later.
yeah, I'll give it time and I'll come back to it when I've forgotten a bit of it and am more willing to sort of carve out the time to
Yeah.
do it properly where I give space for each episode as opposed to something like this, you know?
Mm-hmm. All right. Anyways, I'm looking at the time here. Y'all wanna go around give some numbered scores?
Some real numbered scores. Hit us with it. Who should start?
I'll start.
Okay, Zane, hit us with it.
It's this is one of the harder ones I've given a number because
It's hard to
one of the-
evaluate.
it's hard to evaluate and it was a hard one to get through. All things considered, I can't give it less than a 5 because I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed things that happened, and there were definitely some really cool moments that fully grabbed my attention, like 99% of the last episode and like episode 7, etc. Probably will land it around a 6.5 on first watch with time constraints. That may be a different rating later on down the line if I do give it a rewatch with space, but for now I think a 6.5 is pretty fair.
Sounds fair. Medic, you wanna go next?
I'd probably end up around the same area. I think thematically it's interesting, but nothing exceptional in my opinion. I felt my immersion was ruined at times, probably because of the amount of dialogue. I mean, it's probably that, and probably
Yeah.
as you say, the rush schedule. I think on a rewatch, I could see myself going up to an 8 to an 8.5. But on this watch, I'll go for a 7.
That's fair. So I'm gonna rate it in 2 separate ratings. Episode 1 and 2, 2 out of 10. Dog
Yeah,
shit.
awful, absolutely dire.
Horrible start.
God
Horrible
damn, it's
start.
fucking
Really?
awful.
I loved episode 2.
Every
What?
review I read of it said episode 1 and 2 you have to sustain yourself through, and then after that it gets good.
Yeah. But everything after that, I'd give like a solid 8 out of 10. Again, very demanding watch. If you don't like reading, could not recommend it to you. But if you like good characters and well, a lot of the substantial dialogue mixed in with some pretty dog shit dialogue, then I'd recommend it. Overall,
Dog
pretty
shit
solid.
dialogue? They talk about being selfish for like 30 minutes in one of the episodes. You're so selfish. Oh, I'm selfish. No, you're selfish. Oh, Togami, no. Was she here? I don't think she was here. Oh, you're so in love. Oh no, I'm not in love. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we didn't touch on it, by the way. It gets a little surprisingly horny towards the end.
Yeah,
Towards
it's-
the end, the fucking scene where they're in the bath and she's just
Yeah.
like her ass is
Yeah.
on full display.
Stand up,
I
Dick,
was
look
like,
at your
I didn't
dick.
realize this was hentai.
There's some really
I-
horny character designs towards the end too, like the
True.
Wait,
Oh,
have
yeah.
any of you seen Monogatari?
no,
I
Do you
watched
ever
an
know what it's
episode or two.
about?
no.
It's about fan service.
Yes.
Nisio Ishin is a horny writer. like the main character in the Monogatari series is like surrounded by girls who just want to. Even the lesbian wants to fuck him.
Well,
I
now
say
I'm
it definitely
sold
comes
on
through
Monogatari.
with even in Katanagatari with the big titty bird GF where she's
Yeah, the
wearing like
duck
assless
girl.
pants for with like a chain, like a G-string made just out of a chain.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, man.
So what blows my mind about this series is you have Duck Girl and then Penguin Boy, two
Yeah.
completely opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the wolf girl who were when
Oh,
she like
yeah.
lands, like you just get ass shots.
The
for,
amount of panning up shots on women, where it'd be
Yeah.
like, here is their butts, and now somehow we're at their front. Here are their breasts. Oh, this is what they look like in their face, though. Here we go. This is fine. This is what we need to see now.
It's the real kicker for me was when they were in the hot tub and
Yep.
Togami just has her ass hanging out.
The
Like,
whole
it's just
time.
literally
Like, the
it-
whole time.
The
Yeah.
point of view is you see her face first, but then in the background, her butt cheeks are kind of poking up
Yeah.
above the water.
Made sure you could see butt and boobs in the same shot as much as
Yeah, for
possible.
sure.
Yeah.
That's good direction, baby.
it's important, okay? It's important to the plot. It's important to her character. It has
Yeah,
to
sure.
be there, right?
Look,
you
all
don't
I,
have to like it, but listen, it helps define her as who she is. All right.
well, all I know is I'm never taking a recommendation from Risk 13 again.
Oh God. Well, for me, this is one of my favorite shows. I don't know if this is my absolute favorite show in general, not just limited to anime, but it is among my top 3. Again, largely due to I really, really respect the audacity with which Ishin writes, and how I think for the most part he gets away with it as long as you're willing to like buy into it.
Mhm.
And I think he does a lot of work to get you to buy into it as well. And he kind of lampshades a lot of the show's ridiculousness as well. Like that the show is not asking you to think that this is like a super serious, very. I mean, it does have a lot of like, I guess, if you want to use the word like depth or highbrow bullshit, but it also has like Duck Girl and Penguin Boy. So it's clearly not taking itself ultra seriously, and that helps me trick me into buying into the bullshit, which is something I am quite welcome for. I enjoy shows and things that are both self-indulgent and can get away with it as long as I guess I'm willing to buy into it. So for me, this is like a 9.5 out of 10 show for me.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
obviously, when I do recommend this, I know that I'm recommending it at risk of boring a lot of people because there is a lot of dialogue. So if like your mileage may vary, if you're the sort of person who can only read like a chapter of a book every day or a couple days or something, take it slow. But if you really love reading, then like you can probably watch it a little more quickly.
Yeah.
But,
I think it's
you know,
just
the
dense,
mileage may vary.
right? That's the thing. Like, you can enjoy reading and still find this show really dense, and it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
just
yeah, of
very,
course.
it's very
Just like your tolerance, I guess,
condensed
for
into
the
something small. Yeah,
aggressiveness with which
it makes you.
it
Yeah,
is
like-
also peculiar to the medium, where when you watch a show, you don't expect to have to read, and if you're not ready for that, it can definitely take you out of it.
Yeah, and warn your friends before recommending it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't just say something like this demands your time. Be like, hey, you're gonna have to read a fucking
I
novel every time
warn
you
you.
watch an episode.
Watch like an episode a
Yeah.
week. You
Yeah,
know?
Honestly,
yeah,
I-
you should like give people some pre-warning.
I think I would have much preferred reading the light novel instead of
I did
watching
want to
the-
read the light
I
novel
Yeah.
could have seen
in
that,
preparation
I can
for
agree
this,
with that.
but I could not find it. So,
That's a shame.
all right, I think that's about it. We are coming just under, I think, a couple hours, so we've still made our time.
Relatively.
Medic, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Shall you shout out any of your bullshit?
Oh, sure. Yeah, plenty of bullshit over all of my socials are Medicast, so Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. Twitch will be mostly League, but with some Hades, and Twitter will be all League, I'm afraid. So just follow me and mute me so I can get my follower numbers. I'm looking for 100k this year. So
That's exactly what I did.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
I'll try to remember to put socials in the description. We got to put like there's so much stuff to go in the description in terms of credits that I've just forgotten some. I need to go back and at least put in like Halien's. I think no, wait, I did put in Halien's Twitch. No, I did put in Halien's
Yeah,
Twitch.
you got Halien, I
So,
think.
I think I got most things. So never mind. I've got everything.
Real quick, Blood and Talkness Shilling. You can find us obviously here on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter if you want some updates. We tweet whenever an episode goes live. Probably be looking to use the Twitter a little bit more for some behind the scenes peeks and things like that to keep you all excited. We're on Spotify
we
now,
are.
something like that.
just
we're on
say
Spotify
you are,
now.
and then they'll follow you anyway, and
Dude,
you
you
just
just
don't
gotta-
do it, okay?
Just gotta stick to the script, dude. Jesus Christ, it's right there. Follow- Find us on Spotify. All the episodes are up, and we're looking to maintain that. Outside of episode 0, that one's YouTube exclusive, just because of how scuffed it is.
Exactly.
It was pretty
Follow all
scuffed.
of us on Twitch, Twitter, etc., etc.
And next episode we have it's Cortenberry, right?
Sure
Yeah.
is. It is.
Oh,
Cortenberry.
PogChamp.
Do we know what dog shit media we're gonna make Cordenberry watch?
Yeah,
Well, we did.
Goblin
Yeah.
Slayer.
We did decide.
No, so for the media segments, as mentioned last time, but to sort of iron it out a little bit more with more details, we're looking to switch things up. So this time we'll be watching a movie at Webs 2D's recommendation, Devil in the Details.
But that was the devil all the time.
Devil all the
Devil all the
time.
time.
Yeah, Devil all the
Sorry.
time. That's
the
a
devil
really good
is
show.
in the details, Satan.
Yeah, no, I never said my brain wasn't damaged. Come
That's the
on
one with Patterson and Holland, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is. Yep.
Patterson?
Patterson.
Robert
Pattinson.
Pattinson?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
whatever.
Sorry, Medic.
Not
You
to be
missed
confused
out.
with Paddington.
Yeah,
the
Devil all the
animated bear.
time, starring Robert Pattinson and Tom Holland. See, we're all making mistakes. It's fine. It's the
Spider-Man and future Batman.
Is he gonna be
and
Batman?
past
I'm pretty
Edward
sure you
Cullen.
mean Edward from Twilight,
Yeah.
whatever his name was.
I
Edward
don't know.
Cullen,
what you're
dog.
talking
Come on.
about. I read the
Are
first.
you a
Twilight
Jacob
book.
or
It
an
was
Edward
okay.
fan?
I read the
mean,
first Twilight book.
Edward.
I don't know if Jacob was in it. I can't remember.
Yeah, I never.
I've
really
never watched the
followed it.
movies either. So
What? They are
You was in it.
classics of bad cinema. You have to watch them.
I have watched a lot of bad. I aggressively have watched a lot of bad cinema. I've
Yeah, we
watched
know.
CW
Yeah,
shows.
we know after.
I've watched CW shows for the pure purpose of watching bad cinema. Okay.
Well, Twilight is like it's a guilty pleasure, really bad show. Like it's one I'll watch once every couple of years just to remind myself that I could have been an actor if I'd wanted to. That's
Dude,
how
when, are we
bad the
gonna,
acting is.
when are we gonna watch
Pat-
Party?
Pattinson is actually like
Oh, he's a great actor
Good.
now. In the show,
Yeah.
he was not
Um,
good.
When are we gonna watch Party, the Twilight series in the Hades Discord?
Dude,
and
I'm
that's
down.
all for
Oh.
today, folks.
No, here's the thing: you have to do an all weapons run. As soon as you complete the run, you can leave.
Oh, nice.
That's how you do it.
That's how we get dunked to PB. To PB.
Anyway.
Alright, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening / watching. Catch us next time
Bye.
for the Cortenberry
Bye.
episode. Bye.
Bye-bye.